In 1988, a groundbreaking new group revolutionizes music and pop culture, changing and influencing hip-hop forever. NWA's first studio album, Straight Outta Compton, stirs controversy with its brutally honest depiction of life in southern Los Angeles. With guidance from veteran manager Jerry Heller, band members Ice Cube, Dr. Dre, Eazy-E, DJ Yella, and MC Ren navigate their way through the industry, acquiring fame, fortune, and a place in history. Welcome to another feature presentation of Midnight Double Feature, and on this episode, we'll be covering 2015 Straight Outta Compton, directed by F. Gary Gray.
You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Midnight Double Feature. I'm Zohab. This is Colin. What's happening, Colin, baby?
Hey, what's up, dude? How you doing? Street knowledge. You went to a private school. So did I.
Dude, you know what? We're already getting off a fucking tangent, but that reminds. I've been watching the Beckham documentary, and there's a moment where Posh Spice is like on this couch and she's like, yeah. You know, David and I kind of grew up very humble, and like Beckham sticks his head in and he's like, tell them what your dad drove you to school in. And she's like, oh, like, you know, whatever. No, tell them. Oh, you know, my dad owned a Rolls Royce.
Yeah, I saw that clip on Instagram or something. That was great.
It's a great doco. I don't know anything about Beckham. Obviously, I love football or soccer, whatever you call it, but it's so good. But anyway, we're already off a tangent. We're 3 minutes in, or less than that actually. But Straight Outta Compton, baby, we're here. We're covering it. 2015's Straight Outta Compton, covering the rise of NWA, but also the rise of Ice Cube, the rise of Dr. Dre, the rise of this drill rap. You know, like this kind of like this anger coming out of the West Coast. And then obviously that feeds into the Rodney King riots, and, you know, it's crazy. I'm so excited to talk about this, man. I have been thinking about this movie for quite a while, just to like pick for the podcast. But firstly, before we do get into it, ladies and gentlemen, if you're hearing us for the first time, we are Midnight Double Feature. We're covering movies. We're covering movies that we like. We're covering movies that we don't like sometimes. But yeah, like, you know, we're going to be going through it. We're going to be spoiling the hell out of it. We're going to be swearing. We're going to be, you know, just being us. You know, this is 292 episodes in. And if you don't know what we're about, then I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you, honestly.
Hard ends all the way through this thing. No, that's terrible.
Hard R's.
Yeah, hard R. No, you do the N really hard, but leave off the R, and it's like, that doesn't make it any better.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Look, any N words that fly will be direct quotes. There won't be any whatever. Anyway, but anyway, look, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Midnight Double Feature. You can find us anywhere. You know, sign up to our Patreon. We've got our golden members, the green roomers, as we call them. They're supporting the show. They're incredible. You know, again, I say this on every episode that I host is, you know, I can't believe that people pay to listen to us sometimes. Like,
right. Yeah.
That is just, you know, like they just reached into their pockets and they just give generously. And I honestly can't believe it, man. It's incredibly kind and humbling, and yeah. But yeah, anyway, so we have episodes releasing on the Green Room. At the same time, we have episodes releasing on the main feed as well, so you can keep an eye out for that. After we record this, we will be heading off to record our episode on Mike Flanagan's The Fall of the House of Usher. That's Netflix's miniseries that just released less than a month ago now. And it sounds like we'll be having a pretty good conversation about that, because your wife on Facebook has kind of like tipped your hand about, you know, where your thoughts are on this.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's just the teaser. So if you want to listen to the rest, she gonna get it today.
Show her fucking Shabbos.
But no spoilers for our conversation there. But if you do want to go listen to it, head to patreon.com/Midnight Double Feature. Please give generously. We are an independent podcast. We don't have any sponsorship. We don't have any money rolling in from anywhere else. other than our own incomes. The federal government of Australia actually is giving in, pitching in because
sponsors this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, man. Let's get into this. Let's get into Straight Outta Compton, 2015, directed by F. Gary Gray. Now, very interestingly, I want to say this before you say it. This has a lot in common with Bohemian Rhapsody, and I know you thought about this probably. I mean, not only the obvious about I guess the lead man, the front man, dying of HIV
around the same time too.
Around the same time, and I'm not going to say like the same amount of popularity because obviously Queen's popularity is, I mean, there's no
global
words for it. Yeah, there's no words for it. Whereas like NWA is very niche, but it was still very well known because of what they were talking about in their music, right? So, and by the time Eazy-E died, there was the group had essentially broken up. Everyone was kind of doing their own thing. So, I'm not going to say like the level of like their popularity was equal. That's not the case at all, but it is very notable. The other thing that I wanted to raise in terms of similarities was that Bohemian Rhapsody, I think to its detriment, is produced by the Queen band members.
Brian and Roger, and
right, exactly. And this movie is also produced by Ice Cube and Dr. Dre, amongst other people. In my personal opinion, I think this movie doesn't really suffer as much from that kind of like sort of from their involvement at all. There is obviously some stuff they leave out that we'll get into. But Bohemian Rhapsody feels more like a product, whereas this feels a little bit more like I don't know, because you see Cube in some very terrible situations, in some very bad light. Like when it comes into the CEO of Priority Records sort of like office and he starts fucking shit up, and it's just like, dude, like, yeah, I mean, you kind of like didn't really pull back on this kind of punch here,
right.
What are your thoughts about that though? Before you get into your,
I definitely think that they're comparable. I think that one of the main reasons they feel so similar is just due to like the biopic like kind of formula that a lot of these movies kind of follow, and like especially music ones, they can be very formulaic, but it's because like it is kind of the same story over and over again. Person has talent, person gets noticed, maybe there's some villains, there's a rise to fame, there's downfall, drugs, sex, money.
Movie, right? I mean, what the formula is, and you know what's coming. The key is like how it's made, right? Like how it's done. That's right. the key to like how much enjoyment you get out of these.
Right. Yeah. And I think that with a lot of these, it can seem formulaic, but it's a great. I preferred this a lot more to Bohemian Rhapsody. I thought this was really good. Oh, excuse me, I just burped.
Had you seen this before?
No, I had not seen this before, and I had heard plenty of good things about it. I think the runtime was one of the things that kind of was like, oh god, fucking 2.5 hours,
right?
But it is like, several careers like spawning a Suge Knight, Snoop Dogg, and it's like, oh my god, there's a lot of people coming in and out of this thing.
Tupac,
and well, I was gonna say, and how long were their careers even? Because like, when did they start making? When does this movie start? Like late 80s, like
1980. Yeah, so 1987 is when it kicks off.
So his career lasted what? He died in 95.
Yep.
So literally 8 years, like that, and it's like, but to come in with like the sledgehammer
to make that kind of mark,
right. And that's like, I think the Beatles were only a band for like 9 years. Like there's something like that, not a huge span of time. Versus something like Queen was a band from like the early 70s until the early 90s. Like they were a band for late 60s until the early 90s. Decades. I'm pretty sure, decades, right? And these guys didn't even get one, putting music out together and stuff. And I think that obviously their impact is just absolutely monumental. And like, I don't really listen. I don't personally listen to a lot of rap music. Like I do like some. Like I definitely I bought a few of like Kid Cudi's albums and stuff. And I remember listening to like the Flowbots back in the day. The I Can Ride My Bike with No Handlebars. Super super catchy song.
I love that. I mean, that's about if you are listening to this and you're expecting like a full-on breakdown of NWA's history and career, you're not going to get that from me at least.
Right,
So
right.
I'm very sorry.
I don't know.
Yeah, because I don't know too much about NWA outside of this movie. And a little bit of research that I've done, like sort of like permeating around this movie, but like, yeah, like my knowledge is very sort of like stark. But I mean, look, I really love Eminem. When I say Eminem in the credits of this movie, and he's like giving props to Dr. Dre, I'm just like, dude, that is fucking awesome. Like that is fucking awesome.
Wait, where was that? Is that like a post-credit scene or something?
No. So in my opinion, this movie has one of the best credits I've ever seen ever. So when Dre walks out on Suge Knight and he says "Aftermath," right? Because that's what he's
right.
It cuts to black, and then you got all these like scenes of real life scenes of
like Eazy-E and stuff.
But then you also like if you hang on there, like it starts showing you the growth of Ice Cube's career, like into acting and writing, and then after that you get this breakdown of like Dr. Dre, and you got people like 50 Cent and Eminem, like kind of like giving their props to NWA, and it's so cool, like seeing that kind of shit, and then like it cuts away for a second, and it's literally Dr. Dre at like this studio like deck as he's kind of like working on the beats, and his voiceover is like Apple's acquiring of Beats by Dre was the largest in its history. And then you kind of like think, and you're like, damn, man, you think back to the start of this movie and see how, Dre kind of kicks off. Like, his mom's like telling him off, saying that he's going to be a nobody and stuff like that. And it's just like, you fucking made it, dude. You escaped the hood.
Right. And a I mean, I assume he's probably a billionaire at this point.
He has to be.
Not only from the music, but like from beats and stuff. Like he's a businessman.
3.4 billion, I think, is how much Apple bought Beats for, which is
Jesus
insane.
Christ.
Yeah.
But no, I definitely think there's a lot of similarities between like their timelines and like the timing of things, and I enjoyed it a lot, and like I like the fact that like I don't know, I wish Bohemian Rhapsody leaned into like the aspect like when Eazy-E like is in the hotel or the hospital room and stuff like that's a really impactful scenes,
right?
And Queen doesn't really have like any of those, and I think one can make an argument and be like Freddie Mercury was such a like massively private person. I just don't really think he would want that, and it's like that I could understand, like somebody who was that private of a person in real life, like I can respect that, but at the same time it's just like but you're not telling like the you're not getting justice out of the story and stuff, and I think they get like what you said, like I definitely think there's parts in this where the truth, quote unquote, is never gonna like come out of like the crazy heinous like awful shit a lot of these people have done, like Queen and NWA like included. Like they've done some crazy shit like, oh fuck, John kicked a prostitute to death in Singapore, and it's like fuck, and there's they leave out like a shitload of stuff, but it's like what you said, it's to the less of the detriment that like Bohemian Rhapsody is. Like this is straight up rated R, as it fucking should be.
Oh yeah.
Like I can't imagine if they tried to make a PG-13 version of this. It's like that meme of like The Sopranos on PAX television. Like it's like it's fucking hilarious. You've never seen the sketch, but I liked this a lot. I definitely enjoyed watching it. I think that it's got some really, really high points, and I'd give it like a 80 out of 100 probably. I would say it's definitely got like a few issues like here or there. I think like some of the dialogue is rough in some spots, and Ice Cube's son is a couple of times I was like I'll let that slide, but like I don't know, man, that was a little rough.
Tell you what, but when he picks up the mic in that first sort of scene, it's just like holy shit, because like we were watching this last night. Steph's never seen this before. She's scrolling through her phone like thinking that this is like whatever, some crime drama. As soon as Cube's son
because there's a bunch of black guys in it.
Yeah. No profiling whatsoever.
Terrible.
By the way, Stephanie just accepted a job opportunity from the LAPD. So, anyways, no. So the moment where Cube in Dudo's club picks up the fucking mic and he starts rapping, she looked up, put her phone down, and she's like, "All right, we're in.
Yeah,
we're fucking in."
And that's the stuff that like I prefer. It's like that's the stuff that he like nails. It's just he's a little weak in like the dialogue department, and I was like, but that's like honestly, I can handle a little bit of that. Like if you came out there and you weren't believable as your own father, then I couldn't. You know,
he had
I
to
couldn't fuck
audition
with you
for this role. By the
as
way.
he should. Good.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It was.
Yeah.
Like O'Shea Jackson Jr. is his name, obviously, and he was like, "My own father made me audition," and Cube's just like, "Fuck yeah, I did."
Yeah.
Fuck yeah,
I wonder if they did that to Mikey Gandolfini. I wonder if they got him to I would be surprised. Wouldn't surprise me if they didn't at all. But anyways, I definitely I'm a bit of a stickler like when it comes to like casting and how they look, and that's a huge part of it. And I really think they nailed pretty much everybody. There's a few spots where I was like, the actor who plays Snoop from Get Out, and he's an incredible actor.
Yeah,
Lakeith Stanfield. I was like, okay, he's Snoop Dogg. I was like, all right. I was like, I'll just go with it. Like, it didn't really like bother me, but it did throw. I can see why they made Suge Lion say the line, "Hey, who the fuck is this?" Because nobody else but I guess too. You were
no,
like,
Stephanie got it. Stephanie got it.
Did she really?
Yeah, she's like, I'm like so. So the way
his voice does kind of give it away. It's points,
the voice, but like also the posture. She was saying like the posture is like really getting me.
The slinky,
lanky, whatever. Because like he walks in, he's carrying like the bandana, and I'm like, all right, guess who this is? And then she's like Snoop Dogg, and I was like, whoa, what the fuck?
I definitely I love it because it is kind of, and that was another element that was missing from Bohemian Rhapsody is like, dude, give me Taron Egerton as Elton John. Like, give me the British cinematic biopic universe of rock stars in the 70s and the 90s. Like, give me that shit. And I think that it was just lacking in like a lot of that. Like you do see like, I think you see U2 at one point in Bohemian Rhapsody. Like you see like Bono coming off stage for Live Aid, and I think you see like David Bowie in the background, but that was it. And I was like, that's kind of boring. Yeah. And this, it was like, but it's also their careers are so much more intertwined in this kind of like universe than Bowie and Elton and Queen. Like,
because they're all following like the record labels, right? So if you're signed under Death Row Records, you're going to meet Tupac, right? Right. There's just no way that you're not. By the way, the guy that they get to play Tupac looks exactly like Tupac. I was just like,
it was amazing. It was there was a time I was looking at him and I was like, holy shit! I was like, this must be what Jada.
Yeah, just like, did he fake his death?
This must be what Jada Pinkett sees in her head.
By the way, you just came back from Vegas. Did you like when I went to Vegas? They drove us past where he was shot.
Oh, I didn't even realize it was in Vegas. Yeah. I forgot that it was where. No, I didn't even. Hell, I might have walked right past it.
Crazy. Oh, it's kind of on the outskirts. It's nowhere. It's not near the strip. Sorry. But
I don't know. We drove we went to like Arizona, like we went out to the desert and stuff. And like we walked all around. Like at one point I looked down and it was like 58,000 steps for the day or something. And like abysmal. And I was like, all right, I'm ready to go to bed, dude. I was like up for 20 hours walking around and shit, high as fuck.
Your quad's just fucking killing you, dude. Like,
dude. My whole back calf muscle. And I have very muscular legs. I've always worked like a physical job for the most part. Yeah. I usually walk like 30,000 steps a day, and I was fucking dying. Yeah. Like I was like, dude, I'm about to collapse. But I like this a lot. I thought it was good. I think they made a very good like entertainment product with the information and stuff that they had, and as much as they can kind of get out there and say, and it's just this kind of like Marvel's Avengers lineup of like 90s rap stars. It's like Suge Knight, Dr. Dre, Eazy-E, Ice Cube, Snoop Dogg, Tupac, and you see all these guys and like, holy shit. It's just so many different, like, it's the thing I can find comparable to it. It's like I can't remember. Gilman Street is like a punk scene in the early 90s, 9 something Gilman Street, and like Green Day and Rancid, and like all these bands came out of that explosion of like late 80s to like early 90s punk, like rock music and stuff. And like a lot of those guys, like we went to the Punk Rock Museum in LA, which is fucking awesome. And like there was like something that Debbie Harry wore in this music video, and it's just on a rack right in front of you. And you're like, holy shit. Like, so, AF.
You guys, were you about to say if I know AFI?
Yeah.
I only know Miss Murder.
Well, they had bass guitars and stuff, or they had all their instruments from a music video that they filmed called "Girls Not Gray," and I was like, "Oh, this is really cool." But there's a mural in there of this huge picture, and it's a band called Operation Ivy, and Operation Ivy. They fell apart, and one of the guys from that formed Rancid, which became like this huge 90s punk band. And then he asked Billy Joe Armstrong, and coincidentally, his name is Tim Armstrong. He asked Billy Joe to be in Rancid. He goes, "No, I think I'm going to do my own thing," and starts Green Day. So you have Operation Ivy, Green Day, and Rancid coming out of like one circle of friends, basically. And it's like, I totally see why this movie like spawned, like all of these things are intertwined. Like the veins are just wrapped around each other and stuff. It's very cool. And I'm a nerd out with like the music history like that, and people just one little decision, like if he'd have just been like, you know what, yeah, I'll join Rancid, and it's like there would be no Green Day, and like that's fucking crazy to think, you know. It just and it's like if they had all stayed together in the band, there would be none of their solo ventures and stuff, and Dre doesn't become like the monolith of like rap music that he does.
He doesn't perform at the fucking halftime show of the Super Bowl 2-3 years ago. One of the best halftime shows I've ever seen in my life, by the way. Like it's Dre,
really? I didn't see it.
Dude, it's so good. You gotta look it up on YouTube. It's Dre, it's Kendrick, and then fucking out of nowhere comes Eminem, and he's fucking playing "Lose Yourself," dude. It's so good.
I do love Cinderella Man. That's a great song. Cinderella Man.
It's so funny, actually, just really quickly before it's in my head. When you go to a museum, like a music museum in the States, it's so funny that you can just be like, oh, yeah, that's legit. Because if I go to a museum here and I see what is quoted as authentic, whatever, I need to do this like mental gymnastics of like, but is it really authentic? You know, like, because like in the States, it's probably more likely that the stuff that you have in your museum is, you know, authentic because
legit.
It's the fucking States. Right, exactly. It's not halfway around the world from the birth of culture, you know?
Right.
Or entertainment.
Right. People are going to be way less likely to ship their shit 24 hours away from them.
Right,
if something goes, oh, you lit Dee Dee Ramone's jacket on fire, and like, holy fuck.
Right.
Oh fuck! I forgot what I was going to say. But either way, I definitely think this movie succeeds on a lot of levels. It's a little shaky in some parts, but for the most part, like I would have totally been fine with this being broken down into two parts and both of them being 2 hours long, because I love the music history and stuff. And like one little thing changes and like the ripple effect, you know, goes back and changes everything. And I thought it was great. I thought it was a really good job. I was a little disappointed nobody ever tells you what exactly happened to Jerry. Is it Howard?
Jerry Heller. Yeah.
Heller.
So there is a I get what you mean. There's no sort of like title cards or anything at the end, which I kind of like because you know, like it breaks away from the formula
do it yourself,
a little bit.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. So there is actually a great article on Forbes, by the way. It's titled "Did Jerry Heller Actually Cheat NWA?" And the movie takes these sort of like It presents Jerry Heller as someone who did stand up for NWA, and he did obviously give them quite a bit of success. But then it also paints him in this sort of like, oh man, some of this is shady, you know. But it never says that Jerry Heller did in fact defraud them. Like it never takes a stance on it,
and it never gets into what exactly is going on. What is he accused of doing? And it almost never addresses it. Like I was a little annoyed at that, but but I was like, oh, okay.
It's only because no one really knows. So no one still really knows. There's like if you read this article on Forbes, it goes into the dispute. It's just described as a financial dispute. Jerry Heller says. In the movie, he says, did I cover my end? Absolutely. So, you know, like it did seem like there were a lot of assumptions being made. Yeah, we can talk about it when we do get to it. But yeah, like I get what you mean. Like it asks you and it invites you to do your own sort of research, which I don't really mind. This is so I guess I'll get into my thoughts on this. So in my opinion, this is a sort of introductory movie on the subject matter, which I think what all biopics should be. Like they should be sort of like these like introductory looks at like whatever they're covering. So if you are vaguely interested in Freddie Mercury and Queen, go check out Bohemian Rhapsody, but go do your own research as well, right? So like, you need to go and fact check. Like this will give you your own, like this will give you a snapshot of what this is about, but just keep in mind that it is entertainment. And Straight Outta Compton is the same exact deal. And that's the kind of curve that I grade these sort of like biopics on. So I kind of look at like Straight Outta Compton as like, it is this introductory look at NWA and Ice Cube and Dr. Dre and Jerry Heller and this whole sort of scene. But there are other things that happened that this movie maybe intentionally leaves out. I don't know. Like Dr. Dre, Dre had allegations that he abused his wife quite a bit.
Right.
And he actually came out and said, yeah, like I was young when I did that and I'm very regretful, whatever. But that happened, Like the fact of the matter is that actually happened. But for a movie to work, you need to have protagonists. You need to have people that are likable. You need to have people that you're going to root for because this is a screenplay. Like, it's not going to present to you these characters in a documentary kind of way. This is ultimately a drama movie. That's going
right.
to,
if he's producing, he's never going to put that in there.
100%. But that's not to say that it doesn't invite you to go and do your own research. I actually really enjoy movies like this that are, like they're a little more, like this is a little more vague. Like it kind of gives you, like I said, snapshots of what this was about. Like obviously the LAPD, I mean, you get like little glimpses of Chief Gates. Like, you don't see Gates, but there's a moment where Ice Cube is sitting down with this reporter and he's like, look, man, those guys working for who beat Rodney King, they're Chief Gates's lackeys. And it's like, okay, so who's Chief Gates? Like who is this guy? Like what? So you kind of like have to go in and do your own research because, you ultimately find out that Chief Gates was this guy who downplayed the violence of the LAPD. He was on his way out before the riot started. And yeah, I don't know, man. Like I think when people come to movies like this, they should just really be aware that they are ultimately entertainment, but they're not supposed to be in like these big information dumps. Because they are made for the movies. And man, I can tell you, this was fucking entertaining. Like I saw this in 2015 as soon as like the day it came out, and I walked out and I was just like, that was fucking incredible. I absolutely love this movie. I've seen this so many times. If 2015 wasn't such an outstanding year for movies, this would be my favorite movie. Let me give you some movies that came out in 2015. Mad Max Fury Road, Whiplash, Inside Out, Ex Machina, my favorite movie of all time, Sicario. I mean, 2015 was also the reboot of Jurassic Park and Star Wars, right? So you had these, it was like a huge moment in pop culture history. And this movie kind of like got buried a little bit. Like, like it came out and it kind of came and went. No one really talked about it. It wasn't nominated for anything. But I think, man, like there are some people in this movie who did some incredible acting. Jason Mitchell, especially, as Eazy-E, like like when he's sitting down and talking to Jerry and he's like, I'm going to kill that motherfucker Suge Knight. And that scene is fucking awesome, dude. When he's like, look at my face. I can't let this go. And it's just like, you were selling this, man. You're absolutely selling this. And then he's like...
Yeah, and the movie hinges on him a lot, too, in this.
A lot. Very, 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 very smartly hinges on him. Because, like, he is, like, that emotional core because he's the one that they lose, right? So it is a very sort of clever screenplay. But not only that, just the way it's made. If you notice, if you watch it again... there are these long takes, like really long takes where the camera revolves around people, like it goes through like crowds, and like it's just like, holy shit, dude, you did not need to go this hard, F. Gary Gray. You did not need to go this hard on this biopic about NWA, but he did. And not only that, man, but I was telling Steph about the sort of like the irony of Ice Cube's son playing Ice Cube, writing Friday in this movie. and F. Gary Gray directing Friday as his first movie. Like,
it's super meta. Yeah.
It's so fucking meta, dude. And, Seth has not seen Friday. And I promise you I will be showing him Friday because I love that movie. But the moment where Cube says, bye Felicia, she's like, is that where bye Felicia came from? I'm like, no. Strap in. I'm about to tell you where bye Felicia came from. Man. But I really, really love this movie. I think it's outstanding. I think it's one of the best biopics I've ever seen. There are these moments of intense drama, like that moment where they're in Detroit and they're being told by the police not to play "Fuck the Police," and then just you can feel the tension, and you just know that they're about to, they're about to play it. When Ice Cube turns to Dre and he says, "What's up? What's up? I got something to say," and then you just know it's gonna happen, and the cops weaving their way through the crowd, and yeah, it's awesome, man. The score is fantastic, and I just think this is an outstanding movie. I've been thinking about this movie for a long time. I actually wanted to read a book in advance of this podcast, but I just obviously didn't get time. But man, I'm glad we're covering it. So what do you say we dive right in?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
Awesome. So we kick off in Compton, 1986, and this is essentially we're introduced to Eazy-E, right? Played by Jason Mitchell, Eric Wright. He's essentially a drug dealer, right? He's kind of like a nothing. But this is kind of like a drug deal sort of gone wrong. These guys want to hold on to this because they don't have the cash right now. But we get introduced to Eazy as sort of like this. He's very street smart. He's this guy who has a backup for everything. He's like, oh, I got guys outside your mom's house right now.
Yeah, right. A contingency plan.
Whether that's true or not, who the fuck knows? But that doesn't matter.
Who takes that risk?
Exactly. But the police come in and interrupt this little tete-a-tete with a fucking battering ram, dude.
Yeah, holy shit.
This is real. The police the LAPD were doing this in Compton. And there are photos of literally the same vehicle with this battering ram. It's crazy.
Yeah, fucking Waco and shit, man.
Oh, wild, dude. Yeah, but these are fucking hood rat drug dealers. Waco was something else. Waco was we have hostages and weapons and we will kill ourselves.
It seemed like a bunch of red-blooded Americans to me, so I don't know. No, but yeah, it did kind of show you just at the time. It was just holy shit, yeah, you guys really took the North Hollywood shootout seriously, didn't you?
Right?
They just fucking loaded down, man.
Right, exactly. But we are very early on showing the might of the LAPD. We're showing what they can do, what they're capable of, how they treat African Americans in suburbs like these. But yeah, but look, I also the movie doesn't depict them as innocent. It's not just this is not just an innocent.
They're good boys, and it's
yeah,
no,
right,
this
exactly.
is got, double barrels pulled on you and just some Scarface stuff.
Exactly. Then we're introduced to Andre, aka Dr. Dre, played by. This guy's awesome, by the way. Fuck, what's his name? God damn it.
Oh, I just had it pulled up.
Yeah, the actor that plays him is great. What is his name?
Oh, Corey Hawkins.
Yeah. He's been in a bunch of stuff since this movie came out. My favorite being Black Klansman. He's in Black Klansman.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. He plays this guy named Kwame. He's got a fucking great speech in it, dude. It's so good. But obviously, yeah, he was in Kong Skull Island, which Jason Mitchell, who plays Eazy-E, was also in as well. it's like, yeah, let's get into Kong Skull Island. He's about to be in The Color Purple. He was in The Last Voyage of the Demeter, which was fantastic. Yeah, he's been in a bunch of stuff. So I guess he kind of really sort of blew up after this. Yeah, so we're kind of introduced to him. His life is. It's tough, man, because he's got this baby mama, right? And his mother is also telling him about how how she had him really young, and no one said that they'd amount to anything, right? And like you immediately kind of like get this sense of like discipline, right? Like from the mum, but like does that trickle down? Who the fuck knows? We also meet Tyree, the tragic Tyree, who is obviously Dre's brother. And what I was doing a bit of research, and Tyree actually, well, yes, he did die with a broken neck in Compton after a sort of like scuffle. And they never found the guy that did it. And
Damn.
also, that was the second brother that Dre lost. He had another brother who died when he was 1 from pneumonia, which is incredibly
Dre
sad.
was 1, or his brother was 1?
The brother was 1. So the brother was 1 year old. His baby passed away from pneumonia. And it's just like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, this fucking family's been through it. The father is nowhere to be seen in this movie, by the way. So I don't know what the hell's going on there.
Dude, the guys who walk out on, like Stephen King's dad, just walking out, it's like, you have no idea, like, your child changes industries and like the face of global music and writing, like, for it just blows my mind, man.
Crazy.
Like Bobby Boucher's dad showing up at the end of Waterboy type shit,
a riveting true story of American history right there.
Playing that foosball.
I'm about to open a can of whoop ass.
My favorite is back. See, Mr. Coachman, back in 1966, pick up sticks. That's I fucking love Kathy Bates. Anyways,
you can do it. Cut his fucking head off.
You know what I'd love to see is Kathy Bates playing Jerry Haller in this. Like,
oh, dude,
that would be fucking. I would totally be down for that, man.
Oh, yeah, for sure. She fucking hobbles someone.
I honestly, when Paul Giamatti showed up, I was like, why do I feel like this is Hesh? Like, I feel like this is supposed to be Hesh from The Sopranos. And then they mentioned that he's Jewish. Like, oh, okay, gotcha. Like, he definitely, like, he talks and has a very similar, like, walk and strut and wears a lot of the same clothes as Hesh. And I was like,
that's really interesting.
Jewish?
That's really interesting now that you mentioned it, because in The Sopranos, Hesh also has the connection to rappers. Yeah, that's
Bokeem Woodbine, like, specifically.
What's his name again?
Master Genius or something like that.
Yeah, Master Genius. Yeah.
Something like that. He's
I love that.
Genius.
So I don't know. I remember.
It's something like that. All I know is I saw Bokeem Woodbine and I was like, I know that fucking smile anywhere, dude. It's Bokeem Woodbine.
Yeah, it's like going to every time I in Red Dead I go to Gaptooth Breach, I think of fucking Woodbine, dude.
He's great. He's one of the only good parts of the Halo TV show, man.
Oh, dude, he's in The Rock. I mean, come on, man.
Oh yeah. Anyway,
we're introduced to Ice Cube. Fucking in 2015, dude, you honestly thought that Ice Cube had just walked onto the screen and just somehow de-aged himself? It's like, are you fucking serious?
Yeah, it definitely it's a bit of that uncanny valley where it's like, man, it's definitely not him, but it almost is him, and it's just this very like, oh, this is fucking me up. But like, it's once it settles in your brain, you're kind of like, okay, I can get behind this. Like, for sure. him and Dre. I think Dre was really good casting. I think just in the face has a somewhat of a similar look,
right? But because Dre doesn't have like sharp features, like, it's kind of like. Yeah, Corey Hawkins' casting is fantastic. So we're introduced to a young Cube here, and we see him writing already, right? So he ended up being the writer of the group of NWA. So we're kind of like seeing this already. But I love, like, we're getting a sense of Compton, right? We're getting a sense of like what this place actually is and why it's so notorious. So obviously you have this bus scene with the kids sort of like heckling these Crip members. And this one, this like, dude, the guy fucking parks in front of the bus, gets onto the bus, shut that shit down. This is like, I love the way Cube explains this later. He's like, fucking gave a motivational speech and then bounced out.
Yeah, I would love if this were just like some ill-conceived, like, old white man who's like, and we'll have the scary black guys pull the bus over and he'll wave his gun at them, like how they do, and they turn it sideways and he scares them all shitless. Yeah, he literally says, crack that book. It's like, how old are you, dude? Yeah. Like, they tear his mask off, Scooby-Doo style, and it's just an old white man, like, dressed up as a gangbanger. Mr. Jenkins.
This is not one of my favorite scenes, but look, I get it. I get what you're doing. You're kind of like creating this sense of what Compton is. But one of my favorite scenes immediately follows this is this shot, like kind of like panning across the street and these bikes just going down the street. And, you know, they're popping wheelies and shit, but like you follow, like it's a single shot. It's so crazy that you follow these bikes, you cross the street and you follow, Cube, Ice, Mr. Cube. You follow Cube into the house, and it's just this one unbroken shot, and I'm just like, damn, man, like this looks gorgeous. You got the sunset in the background; it's stunning. I do want to take a quick second here to just sort of like pause and talk about where we actually kind of have a bit of a parallel here in Sydney to NWA, kind of like happened over the last 3 years. So there's been a group. So I live in a suburb called Mount Druitt, right? So the postcode is, or the zip code is 2770. I actually live in a suburb called Minchinbury, but Mount Druitt is technically the most dangerous suburb in Australia. Like socioeconomically, it's not amazing. It's terrible. There's a huge drug problem. The unemployment is skyrocketing. There's a lot of like housing commission people. It's, you know, but when you do go there, the people are very salt of the earth. Like they're very genuine. It's just me having grown up in that sort of like very close proximity. I know how to deal with it. And I work in the city, right? I've worked in the city for like the last 10 years, whatever. And whenever you go to the city, people obviously, you know, you get into conversation, you know, people find out that you're from out west, close to Mount Druitt, and they're like, oh, is it dangerous out there? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, man, it really isn't. It really isn't if you know how to navigate it. Like it just isn't. Like you see this in the news, like whatever. There was a show that came out called Struggle Street, which like covered there's one road through Mount Druitt called Luxford Road, and basically like it's all these like housing commission people, like, you know, the people who aren't doing well. But my point is in the story is that there was a group of kids, 4 kids who 4 Islander kids, who essentially came up like these guys. They loved their music and they started drill rapping. They started being profiled by police. Actually, there was a great Netflix documentary. And if you can just do me a favor, like if you have your computer pulled up and just type in on Netflix 14114 the words, because Netflix dropped a documentary called 1-4, and 1-4 is the name of this group, this music group. And they're essentially the NWA of Sydney. They are singing about, or they're rapping about police violence, police brutality, but they're also getting into the same issues that NWA experience. So they are being raided, like their houses have been raided by police. They've got arrest warrants. They've received arrest warrants, whatever, search and seizure warrants because of their music. You know, you've got people celebrating their like music, whatever, and the police are making this argument that, hold on, like, you know, their music is inciting violence. It's advocating for violence. We want to shut this down. One of the, like, 3 of the members have been in jail. 2 of them are out now. 1 guy's still in there. But my point is, like, we've actually seen some of this happen in our own suburb in the last 4 years, which is wild.
Yeah.
But did you find the documentary, or is it?
No, I don't think it's on there.
Okay, I'm wondering that it's only for Australian Netflix.
Yeah, but which would make sense.
Yeah, that would make sense, definitely. But if you can seek it out, it's a fantastic documentary. It's called Hold on, I'm trying to find it. Yeah, it's called 1-4 Against All Odds. It's only an hour long as well. It's only an hour and 22 minutes. But I recommend seeking it out because it's exactly it's the same thing. It's the same story, essentially. Just on a little bit of a smaller scale, obviously, because they're not as big as NWA, but crazy, dude. Like, it's so crazy that we saw the same thing happen. Yeah, it's tough. But anyway, unpause.
I'll check it out. Yeah. But oh fuck, what was I gonna? Where did we leave off at?
Yeah, so so Cube is meeting up with Dre. Essentially Dre's sort of like living in his auntie's house, which is where his baby mama is also living. So I guess like they're all kind of like living in close proximity to each other. This song, by the way, that Dre's playing, the "It's Time" song, that like the fucking electronic fucking thing, is he's like breaking this down. I'm like, this is fucking good, dude.
Yeah, hell yeah.
This is fucking good.
I like it when Daft Punk does it. I like it when Dr. Dre does it.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. But essentially, like they're hyping each other up for this show at Dudo's, which is where they both worked, which is a real club. And yeah, like I love the owner. The owner of Dudo's is like, don't play none of that shit. They literally play it in secret. Like he's like, yeah, I'm gonna bounce out and see if nothing's popping up outside. And then like as soon as he leaves, dude, Dre gives a nod to Ice Cube and he's just like, yo, like, it's time to go. Let's go.
Yeah, immediately play that shit. Yeah.
And it fucking, it's a banger. It fucking plays, man. People are listening. Dre's in the club, like listening to. Oh, my apologies. We also went past an altercation with the police after Q leaves, right? So there was a short altercation, basically, unprovoked. Cube is asked to put his hands up, like kind of like put his hands on his back. Like they embarrass these kids, right? They absolutely embarrass these kids. You got Cube's parents across the street, like the N-word is dropped, right? I mean,
yeah.
Like some of the dialogue here is a bit tough. Like, like I'm LAPD, I'm the only, like, what does he say? I'm the only power out here. It's just like, dude, come on, man. Like, it's a little on the nose.
Right, yeah.
But
well, it is crazy. I was like, how does Django say the N-word more than Straight Outta Compton? And
Quentin,
I feel like
Quentin.
Yeah. I was like, there's no way that these guys heard this less. Like that's fucking crazy.
Right. So this cop says, this is LAPD. I'm the only gangster out here. It's so,
yeah.
It's a little forced, but I get what you're trying to say,
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Well, and you can't talk about their rise to stuff. Like one of the things that put their names in everybody's ears was "fuck the police." Like that was absolutely huge. And like you can't talk about them without talking about the other side of that and stuff and the price they paid for that song.
Yeah. We'll talk about the birth of "fuck the police" because it essentially happened the way it happens in this movie. Cube like they did experience this sort of like altercation. Jerry Heller came out, spoke for them and stuff, and then they let go, and then immediately Cube turns around and is like, let's do this, let's get this going.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we're here in Dudo's. Dre, very importantly, gets in touch with Eazy-E, right? And he's just like, look, man, like I really want to dump some money into this thing, because Eazy's the money guy. He's the producer.
Right. He's the bankroll.
Right. He's the bankroll. I mean, it's profits from illicit activity, but it's still bankroll,
Yeah. Hey, a lot of great records made off of that. A lot of great records made for that,
Right, exactly. And then as they're leaving the club, there's also this like very small altercation again with police. This guy sort of like is trying to stir up Dre's brother, and Dre immediately wants to push his brother out of this. He's like, dude, I told you not to fucking be here. Like, like it's obviously it's a screenplay just like setting us up for, Dre does not want Tyree to be involved in any of this, like there's none of this like it's tough, man, because he ultimately feels guilty about his death and he did his best, but yeah, sucks.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's no telling if he doesn't come on the road, especially the life that NWA is living at this time. Like, dude, there's no, it could have easily just happened on the road. Like, somebody gets into a fight, a gun gets pulled out, boom. It's like it happened all the time in their kind of like life. Back then, it was just part of the game. Like what in Goodfellas, she's like, he pulls out a gun, gets shot over a lousy $10 card game.
Crazy. So Easy bails Dre out and they get to talking, right? Dre's like, man, like, I've really been thinking about this. And he essentially swings Easy, right? Like Easy eventually agrees and he's like, like, what would you call your record label? He takes a second to think about it and he's like, Ruthless. And then hard cut to them, like, you're already in the sound booth. This is the garage owned by the Dudo's owner. I forgot his name. Alonzo is his name. But this might be one of my favorite scenes in this entire movie. Is them kind of coming up with cruising down the street in my 6'4". Like,
Yeah.
I love the time that they dedicate to this, right? Because there is obviously a scene in Bohemian Rhapsody that is sort of like the equivalent, right? It's when they come up with, isn't it Another One Bites the Dust, when they kind of like do the I can't remember for that movie for the life of me.
That or Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah. But anyway, again, I love the time that they dedicate to this. Like, they're just like, fuck, man, our rappers just walked out. Like, and then it's just like, you know what? Easy, you're the money guy. This is your shit. Why don't you get in the booth? I love the first bar that he hits. It's not even on it's not even on time, dude. It's so off tone. Like,
rocking on the street in my 6'4".
Dude, I love that they just start fucking laughing. Even like, like Dre's just like kind of like keeping the laugh under his hand if you watch it. I just love. And then like he goes again to turn it off and Cube's just like, yeah, that ain't it. that ain't it. But then like, yeah, like they send Yella and Cube out of the booth and Cube's just like, write the song, Cube. Shut the fuck up, Cube.
Yeah.
There is a great moment with the rap group that sort of just like left the room. That Cube says that made me laugh. He's like, yeah, wearing a Kangol doesn't make you doesn't make you LL Cool J. That's what fucking favorite.
That was fucking great.
I would have said Samuel L. Jackson, but I guess he wasn't wearing Kangols back then. So
what is this, like 88, 89?
Yeah, he's kind of unknown at that time, right?
I was gonna say, yeah. I guess he wouldn't be known for the hat until like the mid 90s, right. Late 90s.
Right. But again, man, they're cooking. Like, like they're absolutely cooking. I love that he puts on the glasses in the booth, like just make him a little bit more confident.
Iconic look, yeah.
Yeah, the iconic Eazy-E look. Yeah, man. And he had such a Straight Outta Compton is like, one of my favorite songs. Like since this movie came out. Like I've been listening to it so much. It's such a good hype song. Like, it's so angry. And when you hear Eazy-E's verse in Straight Outta Compton, what a voice, dude. Like, it's this like high pitched, like childlike voice. And can you imagine what he would have done if he had lived past 26? I think it was 26.
Or was he 31?
31, sorry. 26 was someone else. Steph and I looked this up yesterday, but we essentially kind of like went down this rabbit hole of like, who has AIDS killed?
Is it Biggie?
Yeah. Is Tupac, I think. I think he was 25, but yeah.
Yeah, they were all super young.
Yeah, Tupac was 25, dude. That's insane.
Good God. That is fucking crazy. To be 8 years younger than I am and have like revolutionized like world music.
But then this happens fast. They become known very quickly. They print their records. By the way this is shown, dude, like the printing of the records is sick.
I love this.
It's sick. It's fucking awesome, dude. I love the label going on and shit. You get a quick cameo of F. Gary Gray. He's the radio sort of announcer being like, Straight Outta Compton.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. That's him. By the way, F. Gary Gray, I fucking love his movies, dude. He's honestly a very underrated director. Have you seen? I'm sure you've seen more movies than you realize. But I mean, Law Abiding Citizen was a big movie when we were like in high school. I know the ending is not great, but It's a great fucking movie. The remake of Italian Job is very underrated, in my opinion.
Yeah, I did like that with Seth Green and Mark Wahlberg.
Mm-hmm. The Negotiator with Samuel L. Jackson and Kevin Spacey is outstanding. It's a fucking great movie,
Never
dude.
saw that.
Friday, obviously, we talked about that. He directed The Fate of the Furious, which is fine. There was something else that he directed.
What did John Singleton do? I know he did Too Fast, Too Furious.
I think his one was Menace to Society, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Because Boys in the Hood. No, or was it Boys in the Hood?
It might have been Boys in the Hood. Now that I think about it, I was like, Menace to Society. Whew, man, talk about a hard movie to watch, man. Menace to Society is. Yeah,
I love it. It's a fucking outstanding movie. Sorry, let me correct that. So Boys in the Hood is John Singleton. Menace to Society is, if I can remember, the Hughes brothers. Yes. Yeah, okay. Albert and Alan Hughes.
Man, I will never forget. If you don't want it spoiled for you, skip like 30 to 60 seconds. So I'm in high school watching it in a friend's basement. And I've never seen this before. I've heard of I've heard and seen the parody, the "Don't be a menace to society while drinking your juice in the hood," but I'd never seen the original. And we're all watching it in this basement. And the movie has probably been on for 5 or 10 minutes. And this fucking dude, he who shall not be named, I don't want to name drop him, walks downstairs, and he's got like a pizza or something, like he'd just come back, and he looks up and sees the movie, and he goes, "Oh, is this Menace to Society?" And we're like, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh man, is this the one where the guy dies at the end?" and dude, I had never seen it. Like two or three people had never seen it, and there was like 1 or 2 people that had seen it besides him, and they fucking, dude, what the fuck, man? Like lit him up for that, dude, and like ruined the entire movie right when I was starting to watch it. And I was like, well, fuck. I was like, I don't know. I might be kind of glad that you told me, because I'd be pissed, get all the way to the end.
I'll tell you what, man, there are a bunch of these movies. Now that I'm realizing, by the way, the Hughes brothers directed a couple of movies that I fucking love. Have you seen Dead Presidents? Keith David?
Yeah. With, Dead Presidents. The one with Queen Latifah, the bank robbers?
Yes, that's the one. Yep.
Yeah.
They directed that just after Menace to Society. They directed that From Hell movie, the one with Johnny Depp, the Jack the Ripper one. Which
really?
Pretty solid. They directed The Book of Eli. So I guess, we've talked about these guys on the podcast before.
Damn, I had no idea.
And just recently they directed The Continental, which is the John Wick TV show spinoff. But yeah, so there are a bunch of those movies around that like late 90s, sort of like about black crime, essentially, right? Like Boys in the Hood and Menace to Society, like the Spike Lee ones as well. I mean, it was kind of like an era of these movies. But yeah, like anyway, so let's move on. So this is where Eazy-E gets in touch with Jerry Heller, right? For better or for worse. What was your thoughts when you saw old Giamatti up in here?
I knew he was in it. I just kind of forgotten, but I immediately was like, "There's no good that's going to come out of this. Mm-hmm. Like this just relationship will not end."
You were just like,
yeah, right. Well, there was just definitely something right away that felt like The Sopranos and Hash and stuff, and I was like, there's no way this guy is not going to bend them over a barrel and fuck them. And yeah, like you get the kind of like he's got like the leisure tracksuit on, and like just I don't know, it's just a very sleazy kind of feeling, and you get a very dated as fuck like feeling from this guy. But I like that Eazy-E right away calls him out, and he's like, I feel like I could do you a favor,
right?
And he's like, yeah, you definitely and that's 100% apparently what happened is like it definitely was him benefiting from them more so than them benefiting from him.
It's tough when if you're naming examples of people that you've worked with, you start with Elton John. It's just like, dude, are you like, did you? I don't even know you. You're working out of this little fucking garage. Like, Elton John? Are you fucking serious, man? Get real.
Right. Well, then it's like, man, it's 1987 at this point,
Right.
you know, and it's like those people were not like, oh, they're past their prime. Like, I mean, yeah, I think a lot of them were like Bowie and Queen and Elton John. It's like those guys were hitting their peak in the 70s and the 80s, and it was kind of cooling off at that point. But like, yeah, I just immediately did not get like a good flavor from Jerry. I was like, no, this is not going to be good. Like, he was too desperate right off the bat. And he was just, you could tell he just wanted it so bad. Right. And I was like, nah, I don't like this, man.
It is interesting because you need to, and not only you and I know about this, but the casual moviegoer would not really be aware of the fact that this is produced by Ice Cube and Dr. Dre, the two people who left because of Jerry Heller, right? You need to kind of like approach it from that angle. Like, you kind of need to be like, okay, look, well, this was produced by the two guys who spoke out against Jerry Heller in the first place, so you just got to be very careful with how it's portrayed.
I assume he's dead, right, Jerry Heller?
He passed away 1 year after this movie was made, which is kind of wild.
Okay. Well, I was going to say him and Eazy-E are kind of like not set up as like the villains, but like they do eventually become kind of antagonists in like everybody's story.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not a huge fan of all the people that are dead end up being the bad guys kind of thing. It's like I don't like that in a lot of these.
I think this movie does a decent job at kind of making Heller as likable as possible. Especially the moment before Fuck the Police, you know, is created. Like when they're kind of like outside the studio there and he's kind of like going off with the police officers and he's like, you can't just, you know, like reprimand these guys because they're black, right? You can't just profile against them. And like he eventually turns into this like sort of like darker sort of like character, but I think he does begin with certain sort of like, I do kind of want to get in with you guys. Like, you know, like when he does introduce them to the Priority Records guy, when he's like kind of like in the club with them afterwards and, you know, the guys are just kind of like walking off, like they don't believe in Compton. They don't believe that a group can come out of Compton. I don't know. I feel like there is a little bit of like genuineness, or maybe in the way that Giamatti just sort of plays it, but there is a little bit of like, yeah, I don't know. It feels a little more positive and it kind of like slowly starts moving towards the negative as we start to get into the financial dispute, etc., etc.
I don't know. I feel like I think obviously there's a part of him that likes these guys and they're not, and, you know, he gets along with them. But the whole reason this relationship starts is not because he likes them, you know, because he wants to be friends with them. It's a business venture. And I feel like first and foremost, you know, when the cops are out there harassing, you know, like you know, the thing that is ultimately going to make you a shitload of money, you want that to stop as soon as possible and get them back into making like a record. And it definitely benefits him as well to keep to let cooler heads prevail. And like, I don't know, maybe that's just the cynic in me, but I feel like he would definitely go out there and make a scene and be like, no, these are good guys and blah, blah, blah. Like, did he believe that as a person? I mean, probably, but I think first and foremost, it's definitely worried about his meal ticket, you know, being flushed down the drain.
I believe that. We're here at Skateland. Skateland. So this was a big moment for NWA. This was obviously the scouting sort of like moment. They're playing in front of this crowd. This is literally like a roller rink that's been transformed into this club. A great scene, man. Just like the rap is like the music is electric, you know, like the way that they actually, because I don't know, I read that this is a combination of O'Shea Jackson Jr.'s voice and Ice Cube's voice sort of like combined. Like that's kind of how they did it. But like the way this is shot, the lights, like everything looks amazing. The crowd looks fantastic. But yeah, you do have like two people, two scouts, you know, that Jerry Hill has sort of like brought over here and they kind of walk away. They're like, no, this is nothing. Right. Can you imagine being someone who just walked out on this? It's just like, yeah, maybe Queens, but Compton, maybe not, you know?
Right. Yeah. Well, and I think there's something. Oh fuck! I just lost my train of thought. I think there's something kind of like interesting about the crowd actually knowing like their own words and stuff and singing them back, and that kind of ends up being something that catches. And it's the younger guy it's the youngest guy in the group is the one who decides to go with it. I think is interesting. I think that's somebody who can see the approaching appeal of this kind of like music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And obviously that's when this guy, the CEO of Priority Records, comes up and, offers them a contract essentially, right? I just love the moment of like, yeah, who else you got? Oh, California Raisins. They immediately like dismiss it, right? They're just like, are you fucking serious?
Right.
Like, it's like, yeah, look, it's all well and good, but then I started cashing checks, and those motherfuckers went gold last year, almost platinum. You fucking, and then you like see the guy's face, and they're just like, gold? Are you fucking serious, man? Like, shit,
dude, those things were huge. Even when I was like a little kid, like,
I don't even know what that is.
It's literally, it's like these California Raisins, like they weren't even a real band, and it was like they covered songs and stuff, really weird, but like they fucking charted, dude, and it was like California Raisins, like little raisins walking around with arms and legs, like it's fucking weird. Just just YouTube it sometimes, you'll see what I'm talking about. But yeah, I was, and that's another nostalgia thing for me though. It's like, oh yeah, the California Raisins, like I remember that when I was a kid. But there was I don't know, there was something about, especially even the guy from the younger guy, where I was like, all right, how is he going to Zuckerberg these guys? Because I'm just not getting a good feeling from him either. Like he's going to zuck these fucking dudes.
He's going to straight up zuck them. He's going to zuck them off. So then we're kind of like, we move over to the Straight Outta Compton recording session in Torrance, California. So this was, as I understand it, like this was the creation of the three big songs, right? So Straight Outta Compton, eventually Fuck the Police, and then Gangsta Gangsta, and then like the music was then eventually obviously labeled gangster rap. And NWA were always just like, we don't consider it gangster rap, we consider it reality rap. Like that's what they essentially called it. I guess now it's now known as drill rap, which is like this angry sort of like anti-authoritarian sort of thing. Just remembering that 1-4 documentary. So 1-4 got their inspiration from NWA. NWA were like, they didn't really start this, but they did make it popular. And then this kind of music moved over to the UK, and then the UK sort of brought it to us, which kind of created this group in my suburb. But yeah, it's wild. But like we get this like altercation with the police, but not before. There's this moment where Jerry kind of like walks in and he's like, "Hey guys, your contract with Priority Records is finalized. Easy, I'll give this to you to sign." So we're already kind of like planting the seeds of like what's to come, sort of thing. And it's really wild because if you do read about in that Forbes article, like whether Jerry Heller did actually kind of like cheat them out. The whole tour, like apparently, Ice Cube was only paid like $36,000, despite millions and millions of records being sold and all this shit. And it's just like, dude, like, come on, man, that's kind of like a, this is kind of shitty.
Well, dude, to make another comparison, Queen had this problem when their first couple albums came out, and they were like still having to like sleep in an apartment together and share a car going to gigs and stuff. But then the guy who owned the record label bought his second Rolls Royce, and that's when they were like, "Wait, what the fuck is going on?"
Right.
And they ended up getting out. But they wrote a song over it called "Death on Two Legs," about like their former manager and stuff. And they felt like he fucked him over. And it's just unfortunately a story, tale as old as time when it comes to like the music business and stuff.
Yeah. So this is from the Forbes article. Heller didn't dispute that when Cube left NWA in 1989, he wasn't exactly living like a rap star. In fact, he was still living with his parents in South Central LA, doing the dishes and everything. This despite the fact that he was a performer and songwriter on both NWA's debut Straight Outta Compton and Eazy-E's Easy Does It, both released in 1988, and which would sell more than 5 million albums combined. By the middle of 1989, Cube had received $32,700 in album royalties, and a bit less than that amount for performing on NWA's first national tour. I mean, yeah, it's kind of nothing.
Jesus Christ,
kind of nothing.
Yeah, that's. I mean, that's about. So what would that be? About $60,000? I guess they said so about about
$60,000 in 1989.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably 80 or 75, like grand, but still, it's like, yeah, that might be a whole year's salary to some people, but it's like, dude, the work and sacrifices you have to put in to get an album made and then tour, and then not only that, you're dealing with all the shit from the cops and stuff.
And
like,
you're writing this.
Right. Mm-hmm. And you're the one who like make all the beats that you want, but it's like you can rap without beats, you know. And it's like yeah. I don't know. The writer is always the one I feel like that gets. It's like the bass player in a rock band. It's like the backbone of a lot of stuff, and they never get the fucking credit that they deserve.
It's kind of similar to what was going on in Hollywood recently, right? Like the writers never get the credit. Like they need to fight for their shit. They're always kind of like being fucked over. The Forbes article goes on and says that this might not sound like a lot of money, but Heller countered that delays between the album sales and artist payouts are common, and reasonably noted that Cube had profited millions from Straight Outta Compton in the decades since its release. So, yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. It seems really difficult. It seems, seems wishy-washy, but we're not there yet. We're still in the good times. I do love this sort of like montage of them creating Straight Outta Compton. Like this is fantastic. And then Dre kind of like goes outside to meet his baby mama. Right? He's like, I'm working.
Man, you think she regrets this?
Oh boy, she could have had some of that beat money,
Yeah, right. And it's like part of it is like I get it. Like people who are working the 9-to-5s and think that's just how it works. Like when somebody does come along who's like, no, this is a legitimate thing. Like there's so many people who bullshit and blow smoke up your ass that it gets hard to believe somebody when they're legitimate. When they're like legit about making music and they actually have a shot. Like it's understandable to be skeptical, but I was like, he is literally in a recording studio right now, like down in downtown, like Los Angeles. Like, I don't understand what, I don't know. I think I needed something a little bit more right there. It just seemed like something they needed to like, I didn't even know he was married and had a kid up until this point. I think they mention it once, but that was it.
You do see him earlier, like when Cube kind of comes into his aunt's place and she's kind of like got the kid there sort of thing. And I don't mind that the movie doesn't focus on that much. Like I kind of like that it sort of focuses on the friendship and the actual music and NWA and not really their sort of like personal lives. Because there is a moment where you're just like, oh, Ice Cube's got a girlfriend and now he's expecting a kid. And then it's like, oh, hold on. Easy's now got a partner who's steady, and apparently we've been told that he fucks a lot, but,
Right.
Yeah.
And seeing them kind of with like, it is kind of weird seeing them like go from this hard edge lifestyle to them being like snuggled up in bed and being like, stop hogging the blankets.
Right, exactly. One thing we did miss when we were at Skateland was the introduction of Suge Knight. Right, like Suge Knight is here at this club, kind of like witnessing these guys, and dude, the guy that they got to play Suge is pretty fucking great. Like, he's pretty good, man. Like this guy is.
I like him.
He's a behemoth. Like he looks terrifying and like Jesus.
He's like always doing the DJ Khaled like hand rubbing, like
dude, this thing, the Jesus thing.
He's in prison now, right? Suge Knight?
I was about to say, how much do you know about Suge Knight? Like,
I besides hearing about him dangling Vanilla Ice off that balcony, I was like, I don't know a shit ton about him other than Death Row Records and that he was kind of a menace, but I don't know anything else besides that, really.
All right, let me read something for you. So on January 29th, 2015, Knight crashed his car into two men, killing Terry Carter, who was his friend and co-founder of Heavyweight Records, and fled the scene in Compton, California, The second victim, filmmaker Clay Sloan, suffered multiple fractures in his ankles and head injuries. Witnesses said Knight followed the men to a burger stand parking lot after an argument on the Straight Outta Compton film set, and that the collision looked intentional. Security footage showed Knight running over both men. Knight said he acted in self-defense. Judge sentenced him to 28 years in prison.
How old is he now? Like 50?
Right now he is 58, and he's not eligible for release until 20. Trying to find this. Where are we?
I mean, he'll be 70, 80 years old.
Yeah. So, yeah, not eligible for parole until October 2034. So, yeah. I mean, guy's a bad dude. Like, I mean, literally, like,
yeah,
his fucking Wikipedia is all over the place. Like, he's got a subheading: Murders of Tupac Shakur and Biggie Smalls, theories accusing Knight.
Yeah, he's had his hand in a lot of dirty pies.
And here's one that I read about when this movie came out. Subheading on Wikipedia: Death of Eric Wright, theories surrounding lethal injection perpetrated by Knight. So,
oh Jesus!
Let me read this real quick. Knight was known to have a hostile relationship with Eazy-E, especially during the formation of Death Row Records. Knight allegedly attacked Wright after he refused to sign a contract that would release Young from Ruthless Records. So we see this altercation in this movie, right? Like there's that moment where in a Jimmy Kimmel Live interview, Knight mentioned a method of murder by injecting someone with blood that is infected with HIV/AIDS. Eazy-E obviously died from AIDS-related complications. The interview sparked conspiracy theories that Knight, due to his hostile relationship, essentially killed Wright by injecting him with a syringe. Wright's eldest son, who goes by Young Easy, stated that he believes that there was foul play involved with the death of his father. Wright's daughter started a fund campaign to investigate her father's death, and that campaign ended unsuccessfully in 2016. Pretty fucking wild, dude. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know if look, I don't know much about Suge Knight, but I don't know if he's clever enough for that kind of thing. Like, you know what I mean?
I mean, that seems like and he strikes me as the type of idiot back then to be like, man, I'm not touching that shit. I'm gay. It made me gay. And it's like, no, right. Man, that's not how it worked.
Well, I mean, he was a footballer, so, you know, he was missing a few cells.
Yeah, I got that CTE brain.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Eazy-E, like a lot of guys, you know, just fucking shove their dick into anything for months and years on end, and this was the worst time to be doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you were, I mean, just rolling the fucking dice with each one of your testicles at that point, you know. That is a terrible fucking time to be doing this. Like 80s
your
and
testicles
90s.
cube shaped, are they?
Yeah, they're fuzzy, like pink, like rear view mirror
right.
ornaments.
All right, back to this movie. So this is the altercation that triggers the creation of Fuck the Police. What I love is the filmmaker's choice to make one of the police officers black. And whether that actually happened, I don't know. But that is such a fantastic creative choice, because it's just like, hold up. Like, you know, you might, like, you obviously are profiling these kids because they are black, but you're also black, but you're in a position of power. Like, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And this is... talk to me about the scene, dude. Like, this is kind of harrowing.
One thing I noticed, a lot of black people in this movie. A lot of... No, I'm just kidding.
You would say kind of crawling with black people.
Well, I'd love... It's like, so is that a positive or a negative for you? And you're like, well... The thing about this scene that I liked the most, and just roll right past it. No,
neutral ground.
Yeah. No, I definitely thought it was interesting the choice to put that in there. And like, did it happen? I'm sure it did. I'm sure there was they probably had at least one. You know, like that. The LAPD, like they were, look, we got one. Yeah, right. I mean, come on, like, but the you know, how many times it happened? Like, who knows or whatever. But I'm sure that definitely happened. And, you know, could it be a cop that's in denial about it, or maybe they're just fucking brainwashed? Like, who knows? But it's like, Yeah, it is kind of like, how do you work with this, let alone enforce it? You know, that's kind of insanity on anybody, let alone your own fucking people. It's like, I love when Giamatti goes to close the door. He's like, "You're a fucking disgrace," and I was like, "Eesh."
Dude, you shut the fuck up. Like, he straight up like goes at him, eh? Yeah.
Yeah, it's particularly fucking brutal. But is one of these guys from NWA in 300? And the Gerard Butler 300, because I swear he's the guy that gets Spartan kicked into the fucking pit. I swear to God that's him. If not, then I'm just going to be a racist.
I think they're too young. I'll tell you what, though, the guy that plays MC Ren, I know you've seen him before.
Maybe who's the one that with the goatee that ends up getting the throat accident?
DOC. So he's not really part of
DOC.
He's not really part of NWA. But yeah, DSE, I can't remember the actor that plays him, but you've seen MC Ren. He plays, dude, remember the Invisible Man?
Aldous Hodge.
Yeah, the Invisible Man. He's the big black cop, dude, the fucking ripped guy. That guy?
Oh, yeah, okay. No, he is definitely not the guy from 300, but God, there's something about his face that reminded me of him so much. Mm-hmm. Oh, he's Hawkman.
He's
okay.
Hawkman, yeah.
Cool. I love Hawkman.
I forgot that so quick. Fucking Black Adam, Jesus Christ. But essentially, yeah, like I said, this sparks the creation of Fuck the Police, right? Actions have consequences, and his Cube bringing in the consequences, and I love it, dude. I love how angry it is. I love the way this is shot and edited. Like, we just joined Cube in the fucking recording booth, and he's pissed. Like, you know, it's just, it's so good. It's fantastic. But this starts like another little montage of essentially straight out of, like, I love the way Fuck the Police blends into Straight Outta Compton, and we're now off to the races, right? Like, we get these like news articles of NWA blowing up, you know, like the rap group NWA singing about violence and street gangs, and you know, like, it's just like, so it's like the most out of touch.
Take your supple white daughters and hide them in your storm cellars.
Right, exactly.
What is that Family Guy? Once you go black, you go deaf. The ear banging episode.
Oh boy. But yeah, and then they kind of go on tour, right? So NWA's on tour. We see like the shenanigans that they get up to on tour. I'm looking for my girlfriend Felicia. She in here?
Yeah,
dude.
Yeah, and just like, how could you fuck somebody in a room full of people? It's like, that's beyond me.
I honestly, this is just for us, but I probably couldn't get it up, dude. I can't.
Yeah, well, I would no. I'd be like, all right, I need everybody to go out into the hallway and give me
3 minutes,
45 seconds.
You did. You sold yourself so short just now.
I don't know. Some of these women in here is like, give me 35 seconds.
You look at this one in the corner and you're like, you're maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah. Give me how much time it takes Neil McCauley to break into to get a police code, and he, like, what is that, 180 seconds?
Now I'm just picturing, like, as he's doing it, like the music.
Yeah.
Oh God. I had coffee with Macaulay half an hour ago. Oh man,
it only took me 30 seconds into it to nut.
All right, so yeah, but this is, again, this scene in this hotel room. Look at the way this is shot. We cut, right, like, literally, Dre slams the door on these guys. We follow Dre walking into the next room, and there's just fucking bedlam. Right, it's just like everyone everywhere, titties out everywhere, dude. Like, just no, who gives a fuck? I love that he's looking around. He's like, "Hey, you Felicia? Hey, you Felicia? Nope." Opens the door. Felicia's obviously going down on Easy over there. Easy's like, "She's sucking dick, though."
Yeah,
and like, literally, we then follow Easy E as he lifts up the bed and fucking picks up a shotgun and a submachine gun. Dude, he picks up a fully kitted out Modern Warfare 3 MP5 with a silencer and a scope.
Yeah. All he needs is like a green dot sight.
Oh, I love it, man. And then, like, yeah, like it's all done in one take. And I can't tell you how much I love that kind of stuff. Like, you know, like just this, like, you don't need to do this way, but it's fantastic and it adds so much to it. But yeah, we get the bye Felicia, you know, obviously a nod to his father. Yeah. And obviously things are popping off, man. Like Dre's on the phone to Tyree as well. Like, another little moment of like Tyree really wanting to come out and party with Dre and, you know, all this stuff. And this is going to come back around in a few moments. So obviously keep that in mind, keep that in your back pocket. And then we're at this hotel and we get the letter. We get the letter from the FBI, right? Playing,
right.
Essentially, we're kind of being a cease and desist, right? Kind of being like, don't do this or you will see the repercussions. So I'm going to read this. So the song prompted the FBI to write to NWA's record company about the lyrics, expressing disapproval and arguing the song was misrepresented police. In his autobiography titled Ruthless, the band's manager, Jerry Heller, wrote that the letter was actually a rogue action by a, quote, single pissed-off bureaucrat with a bully pulpit named Mill Ulrich, who was falsely purporting to represent the FBI as a whole, and that the action, quote, earned him a transfer to Bureau's backwater Hartford office. Heller also wrote that he removed all sensitive documents from the office of Ruthless Records in case of an FBI raid. In the letter, Ulrich went on to reference 78 law enforcement officers who were feloniously slain in the line of duty during 1988, and that recordings such as those produced by NWA were both discouraging and degrading to these brave, dedicated officers. Ulrich did...
Bullshit.
Yeah, right?
Oh, sorry.
Ulrich did not mention any NW song by name in the letter, but later confirmed he was referring to Fuck the Police.
Right. It's the same argument of violence in video games.
Right.
It's like how many people went out and shot up a place after playing the No Russian Modern Warfare mission. You know, were there some? Yeah, maybe, you know, but there's a guy who took Catcher in the Rye seriously and shot John Lennon in the face, you know, and it's like people find the meaning where they want to find the meaning, and it's not, you know, is it an influence? Yeah, sure, it's an influence, but it's ultimately, it's like, it's not this thing's responsibility to, you know, basically make sure that you can't take this and take it in the wrong direction. And it's like, if we're going to start doing that, we got to start doing that. No more guns, no more alcohol, no more anything. You know, somebody could take this and do something wrong with it. And it's like, you just can't start doing that with stuff, man.
Right. This is something that I kind of I've had to grapple with, or not really like professionally, but like I've thought about this quite a bit. Like this freedom of speech element in like movies like this. Even like, you know, Spielberg's The Post, where, you know, journalists are kind of like censored by the government from like posting certain things. And it's just like, dude, like you need to be able to express this kind of stuff. you honestly just need to. And the people who are influenced by it, they're going to be influenced by stuff like this either way. Like, you know, whether it's through this or whether it's through some other piece of media or, you know, some influencer or a family member even who expresses distaste for the government or something like that, they're going, like, if they're conditioned to think that way, they're ultimately going to like act out in some way, shape, or form. Just because you're censoring one song from one concert one time, that doesn't do anything. It truly doesn't. You're just limiting creative freedoms. You know, it's ridiculous, man. Plus, the song fucking bangs. The song's fucking awesome, dude.
Well, that, and it's like what a lot of these people don't understand, like Tipper Gore and the PMRC, whatever it was called, in like the late 80s, early 90s, and they were trying to shut down like heavy metal music and stuff. It's like you only make, the only impact they ever had was they were able to get that little sticker put on the front of albums.
Yeah.
And it was like, you just made every single one of these a must-have item for a kid looking for dangerous music, for the kid looking for something to kind of like, to take it to the next level. And it's like, now you've done nothing but indicate to that kid what is an adult album, like what is cool. And it's like, oh, that's cool because it's adult and scary and stuff.
Yeah, the parental advisories advised sticker just ended up being something for kids to collect because it was so prestigious,
Right.
Yeah.
And now it's a global musical icon.
It's the logo for this movie. I mean, when the title Straight Outta Compton comes up, it's in the parental. It's in that.
Yeah.
It's in that font.
Yeah.
It's in that shape.
Yeah. There you go.
So we've got a few things that are happening right now. So obviously, dude, I love the way. So Jerry presents this letter. And he's just like, look, the solution to this is I think we should retire this song just for now. He's erring on the side of caution because this is not what he signed up for. Doesn't want to get kicked out of another hotel. Right. But Easy's like, no, we should actually take this and publicize it. Like we should show the public what we're up against. And that's exactly what they did. Obviously, the FBI disavowed that, as I just read. This is not written by them. Whether it was, whether it wasn't, who the fuck knows? But this old rich guy took credit for it. Can you imagine, dude? Like the director of the FBI just goes, "Hey, we need someone to take credit for this. Who's going to be our fall guy?"
Well, and yeah, but like I can't. Just the fact that at the time it's like, well, that's how good it was for white people back then. Where it's like, this is what you had to complain about, And it's just like, come on, man. Like literally, like a couple of years later, you're gonna beat the shit out of some dude on the side of the road. Like nobody cares about fucking song lyrics, man. Like get over it.
We get this quick moment of like the CDs like being stacked up and being steamrolled. The fucking dude.
I don't care. At least they bought
the
it.
delivery of that line. I don't care, man. Like they bought them motherfuckers.
Yes, I don't care. It's theirs to do with what they
The
want.
line delivery is fantastic. It's one of my favorite line deliveries in this entire movie. Dude, they bought them motherfuckers. And then we get this quick scene between Jerry, Easy, and Cube, right? And Cube is already now starting to express his dissatisfaction about the financial arrangement. He's kind of just like, oh, you're up in here eating lobster and wine and shit, and we're having fucking Fatburger back there, so where's the money at, bruh?
Right.
And Jerry says, kind of in a, I don't know, man, like, it's like everyone here knows how important you are, Cube. We just need a little bit of time,
Placating.
Right. And Easy seems a little like, he seems, I can't believe I'm going to do this. Easy seems uneasy about this.
Oh, God.
Yes, sir.
That joke gave me fucking type 2 diabetes.
Baby.
No, yeah, he definitely he's perturbed. There's definitely something going on there that it's like, no, he's not like, hey man, it's okay. Yeah, we're just figuring everything out. It's like you can't look him in the eye and say it.
Mm-hmm. Something I just read. Sorry, I'm still on the Fuck the Police Wikipedia page. Let me just read this. In 1989, Australian youth radio station Triple J, by the way, is huge here. Triple J is huge.
Yeah. I listen to Triple J.
Yeah, Triple J had been playing Fuck the Police, the only radio station in the world to do so, for up to 6 months before being banned by the ABC, which is the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, management following a campaign by South Australian Liberal Senator. As a reaction, Triple J staff went on strike and put NWA's Express Yourself on continuous play from 9 a.m. until 4:30 p.m. What?
Jesus Christ.
Totaling 82 plays. The song was preceded on each occasion by a speech explaining that due to industrial action, normal transmission had been interrupted. It was revealed in 2005 that the scratch sound from that track was sampled for the Triple J news theme. What? I didn't even know that. That's crazy.
Oh, that's cool.
That's fucking awesome, dude.
Listeners, if you've never listened to Triple J, like the Australian radio station, at least watch their Leica versions.
Yes.
When they have like people come on, and then it'll be like the Wombats covering Joy Division or something like that. And it's like, dude, it's dope. It's really cool.
Steph Curry, Jesus Christ, Denzel Curry covering Bring Me the Horizon. Fuck. Hold on, what's the song? Denzel.
I'm not sure. I don't know who Denzel Curry is.
He's a rapper. Oh, sorry. Rage Against the Machines. Bulls on Parade. Fucking YouTuber, dude. It's incredible. That
makes a little bit more sense for a rapper to cover that than Bring Me the Horizon. It's like, wow, really? That is venturing out. Holy shit.
Yeah, dude, I saw that. It came out in 2019. I remember it was everywhere. It's huge. Go YouTube it. It's fantastic. It's incredible. Such a great cover. But
hell yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, we get some more sort of like montagey stuff, like them sort of like partying in the buses. And then tragedy strikes, right? So this is the death of Tyree. Like I said, his neck had been broken in a scuffle in Compton. And Dre takes this personally, right? He's like, oh, man.
And that took that personally.
Yeah, right. Like, very much like Michael Jordan, yeah.
Yeah.
Dre takes it personally. He's like, look, man, he wanted to be out here. You know, this should have been, he should have been safe. He should have been safeguarded by me. And, but the streets got him, right? The streets fucking got him. And then we're in this mausoleum. His mom's comforting him. It's gorgeous looking mausoleum, by the way. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, they must have some money by now because that looks stunning.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Mm-hmm. And then we immediately cut to Detroit, which is when they're being essentially warned by the police. This is great. No person shall disturb the peace in any rude, indecent, drunken, riotous, or violent conduct, or the use of any vulgar, obscene, or abusive language in a public place. Note also the performance of the song F the Police will not be permitted. Refusal to abide by all the Detroit city ordinances will result in immediate arrest or forfeiture. This is like you're poking the bear before it's woken up, right? It's just like, dude, what are you doing?
Well, yeah. Today, this is just a lawsuit like waiting to happen. You know, like they're actually trying to ban books in our public libraries here that have any, like, it's a list of stuff, and it's any book that mentions like penis, vagina, sexual intercourse, and like not in school libraries, like public libraries. So it would ban basically pretty much every Stephen King book, like any, you know, a shitload of books, Harry Potter, stuff like that. And it's like, but then nowadays it's like, you know, as soon as they pass that stuff, somebody sues the fuck out of them and it goes right back. And it's like, these people never win.
Right.
They've been trying since like fucking Little Richard and Elvis and Buddy Chuck Berry came out, and it's like, dude, they've never won. Like, the wall of censorship just gets eroded over time, and it's like none of that matters now. I can go on Twitter and watch Riley Reid take 2 fucking dicks in her ass, and it's like it does not matter anymore. Wrong. We've passed this. We're past it, man. Like, come on, dude.
You're not wrong, dude. Like, I mean, it's crazy what they're trying to do. But this cop, the guy that plays this cop looks very familiar.
Yes, he does. I was just thinking, he looks like somebody out of like a military guy in like Cloverfield or something, right? Or the X-Files.
If you keep vamping, like, I'm gonna try and find him. Just keep talking about some shit, because
when I was a little boy, no, I'm just kidding.
In 1888, no,
as soon as I saw him, I immediately thought like Skinner from
yes, me too.
The Simpsons. No, I'm just kidding. From the X-Files. Yeah. He's the first one that I thought of, but he looks incredibly not similar, but he definitely looks recognizable from something. But I can't quite put my finger on it.
it's tough because he's not credited. There's a lot of cops.
He's not.
There's a lot of cops that are credited, but there's no, like, there's LAPD cop, but like they're in Detroit, and there's no one cast as Detroit cop or anything like that, or yeah,
weird. Well, more and more on to this breaking story. When we get more development, but I know exactly what you're talking about because when I saw him, I was like, dude, I know him from somewhere. I just can't fucking put my finger on it.
Yeah, I can't find him. I might need to give this one up, guys. Fuck, I'm usually good at this.
We'll keep taking a crack.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna need to let it go. But anyway, so
you're still. I just had to go on for that 20 seconds.
I had to. This is one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie, man. Like, it happens right here at the midway point, and again, just like the way Gray shoots these overhead sweeping shots through the crowd, and
I love that Jerry won't put his middle finger up like that. Fucking everybody in the place, and he's the one that's just like, "Well, boys, I'm sorry. I stand firm. I back the blue on this one." It's like, oh, Jesus Christ, Jerry.
Well, y'all stick together, don't you? But I love this, man. Like, I love the quick, the little shots on this. I'm gonna call him the sergeant. Like, I'm assuming he's like the sergeant, like he's a higher ranking officer.
There you go.
But like, he's kind of like in the crowd, and he knows it's about to happen because you see it in his face, dude. He's just like ready for it. And the moment it happens, dude, like when they're all standing there, you get the like it's this like reverse shot on Cube and MC Ren, and on the right is Eazy-E, and it's just like, fuck the police, coming straight from the underground, and it's just like this huge moment. And it's done so well. And then immediately the sergeant looks to his police officers, and then you get like the guys weaving through the crowd with their badges out. That one guy who storms the stage, and then I guess someone must have like fired a bullet or something, because that essentially breaks.
Yeah, I was
up.
wondering what that was about.
Yeah. So, I'm trying to find this. So I did want to read about this. So the true story of NWA playing Fuck the Police live in Detroit, there's a GQ article that covers it very, very fantastically. So in the summer of 1989, in Detroit, NWA made it through some 30 seconds of Fuck the Police before apparently gunshots went off in the crowd at Joe Louis Arena. Prior to that, Ice Cube, Dr. Dre, Eazy-E, and the rest had played their signature anthem exactly one time on stage in Anaheim. The group heard the shots and took off, only to run backstage into a line of cops who threw them to the ground, handcuffed them, and hauled them away. It's a dramatic rebellion story that prefigures this era of anti-police brutality protests, but the way it's told in the group's 2015 biopic Straight Outta Compton isn't exactly true. Okay. So DJ Yella says, we're all running together and getting caught and getting thrown. I guess that's done for Hollywood. Yella says, we didn't get arrested. All that commotion, and we ended up getting a ticket, like $100 or something like that. Yeah, I mean, look, I guess it is sort of like, it is dramatized. Cube says, all of a sudden you hear bop, bop, bop. Guys are running and guys are trying to storm the stage. And of course, our security guys are fighting the guys who would storm the stage. Turns out it was the cops, and they had lit off some cherry bombs to create chaos. All right. I'm the person that was literally 2 feet away from the police when they lit the fireworks or the firecrackers, says DJ Speed, who performed with the group. It was a crazy thing. Wow, man, like if the police like kind of like, yeah, I don't know. That's I like that's not covered in the movie at all. That like the police might have assisted in that.
Fucking feds, man.
Are they
fucking
feds?
They're not
feds. The local police.
Well, if anything, over the last couple of years have taught us is that, yeah, cops will definitely go undercover in a group and fucking fuck shit up just to be like, yep, it was them, right. See? And it's like, no, that was you. That was all you.
Right, exactly. But I love when they get hauled away. They're just fucking laughing to each other, dude. They're just like, how fucking good was that?
Uh-huh.
There's a little moment here, a little press conference. How do you explain inciting a riot in Detroit? And they're just like, dude, like, we didn't incite shit. The police started that stuff. And like when you look outside your doors, you see AKs from Russia and and cocaine from Colombia. None of us have passports.
Right, yeah, it's like the shit you're like like we might be selling weed and popping nines and shit, but like you're selling coke and shipping like warheads and stuff, and it's like that's way beyond what you should be worried about. Your foreign shit, not your domestic. Like your domestic is small potatoes compared to that.
Right. You put it in such like more educated terms than Easy does, but it's just like they're talking about fucking freedom of speech, and it's just like, yeah, the Constitution, the government wrote that.
Yeah. It's almost like a Chris Pratt line from Parks and Rec, almost like.
Exactly. And Cube gets a question about what does a guy from Compton buy with all this money that he has now, right? And there's a beat. The movie takes a beat. You get a quick look at Jerry Heller, and he's like putting his hands in his face, and he's just like, oh Jesus, like he's about to sell us out. But no, he doesn't, right? He kind of he plays it up. He says, buy radar gear and kill activator. But you can tell he's pissed about it,
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can tell it's eating at him.
Because immediately after that, we get this scene where Cube walks in on Jerry. Jerry finally gives over the contract and then hands out a check, but he grabs it away and he says, I will give you this check for $75,000 if you sign this right now, which is dodgy as fuck because Cube wants to get a lawyer involved. Cube wants to have a lawyer read over this. And as Cube has like identified in this scene, he's sitting here in the dark like fucking the Godfather, dude. He's like, you will sign this. You sign this without legal representation, And
a dark room, secluded away from everybody. And then also at the added pressure of him being the only one who hasn't signed. Like he's creating this false sense of urgency out of that.
Definitely. It's very predatory. So when they get back to LA after their tour, Cube calls it quits, right? He's like, nah, man, like I'd rather have nothing than to get fucked like this. So I'm leaving. Sorry. And Dre, essentially kind of like pairs up with Suge Knight at this time. Death Row Records. And now that they've gone their separate ways, Cube goes to the CEO of Priority Records and he's like, man, like I need something from you. The Priority Records guy makes Cube a promise. If you put this first album out on spec, I will give you an advance on the next one, right? That's essentially the deal. So he makes America's Most Wanted. If you see the spelling of America's Most Wanted, it's America with the KKK in the middle, Most Wanted.
Yeah. The traditional spelling.
Right. The traditional spelling. The one that has the most meaning, of course.
Yeah.
There's this like Eazy-E pool party, right? I guess like these were like very famous. These pool parties that he would like throw. Yeah. There's a few of these apparently. And you see Jerry Heller look over at Dre talking to Suge Knight. Suge Knight, man, I just like the guy just intimidates me. Like I just like he's fucking terrifying, dude. Like he's got this cigar, the giant fucking cigar, man. Like damn, the guy really.
Yeah, he's like a True Lies villain.
Yes, exactly. I'm just thinking about that part in True Lies when he's doing that speech and the battery dies and the guy's like holding the camera.
Oh yeah.
Aziz.
Poor bastard. Oh man, poor guy.
It's such James Cameron didn't need to put that in there, but the poor guy's just shaking his head. He's sweating his ass off, dude. Oh, it's so good. Anyway, so Cube goes in after the creation of America's Most Wanted, goes back to the CEO of Priority Records and says, hey, we had a deal. What the fuck? And Priority Records isn't having it, man. It's just like, look, man, there's like metrics that we need to take into account. Like you can't just get an advance straight away. We need to give this some time to percolate. We need some money coming in from America's Most Wanted. And Cube's just like, oh, okay, so you're not going to help me out, right? And he's just like, I'm sorry. I can't do anything for you. Cube leaves, comes right back in with a baseball bat and proceeds to fuck this shit up. Now, I don't know if this happened. I'm going to look this up. I need you to vamp again, very briefly. But
when I was a little girl, no, I kind of wondered about that too, because it's probably the worst thing he does on movie. Like, nobody really does anything in this movie that's like, like they get into some fights and stuff like that, but nobody really does anything that that paints them in a negative light, because they're all multi-millionaires now and they can't have their brands affected like that. I think that is one way this does suffer a lot from, similar to Bohemian Rhapsody, is they put a lot of like the crazy lifestyle on a dude who's not really there to defend himself anymore. And I know they mention, each one of them being like really into pussy and stuff like that, but they don't really show them like freebasing or snorting coke and shit. It's like, they were getting fucking tore up. And so it's like, I wish it dipped a little bit more into that. Like, I wish it just was a little bit dirtier, but it's like, again, they're not going to do that when their names are on.
Right. Exactly. So I did find this. So after Ice Cube left NWA, he was signed by Priority Records for a solo deal. Brian Turner, who was the co-founder of Priority Records, was one of the men responsible for signing Ice Cube to his label. At one point, Turner offered to pay Cube extra on his second solo album if the first one was a hit. After Cube turned America's Most Wanted into one of the most memorable albums of the 90s, Turner didn't keep his promise to pay Cube extra money. In return, future movie star Ice Cube destroyed Brian Turner's office with a baseball bat. This is depicted in the film. Ice Cube really did smash the Priority Records office, destroying most of its contents.
Damn.
Apparently, O'Shea Jackson Jr. fought to keep this in the movie. Like, this was the son's I guess that kind of tracks actually. Like, I can imagine Cube's son being like, "Nah, man, we got to keep this in here." Cube's like, "No, let's take this out because this puts me in a bad light." But Cube's son was like, "I want to play this." I want to play this.
Well, yeah, and it's only fair, and I think that it's kind of like, if you're looking at it from his point of view, here's this like old dude and this young dude and every other fucking cracker I talk to in this business is fucking me over, and then I've got to worry about getting like shot out here at parties and performing and stuff, and it's like that would only seem like a natural kind of progression until the dam breaks, and he's like, no, I have a life. I have my own autonomy. Like, I want my fucking money. Like, people need to start giving me what was promised. Like, you definitely see people kind of get to that point. It's definitely legitimate.
Mm-hmm, definitely. But I love the real world stuff that is kind of like now seeping into the background of this story, because there's a moment if someone's recording something in a studio. I think it might be Cube, or it might be MC Ren, and in the background you have a Malcolm X kind of like giving a speech, like it's just like, oh shit, all right, like the civil rights stuff is really popping off right now, and this music is just really kind of like, I'm not gonna use the word aggravate, but it's really highlighting the issues that are at play between Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, and obviously the leaders at that point. So we do get this moment between. Also, this is where Suge Knight at the hospital is trying to coerce Dr. Dre to really come over, right? Like, so DOC gets in an accident, presumably drunk driving, right? Because he leaves the studio and he's like pretty fucked up, and he gets into this car accident. Suge Knight is just like, all right, let's go chat, and he's like, how's your contracts looking? He's being very fucking nosy, He's just being like, hey, like, how's your contracts over there at Ruthless? And he's just like, look, I'll sort that shit out, And Dre wants in, Dre, he wants to come over,
right?
And then we get the diss track, right? So, dude,
holy shit!
This is how long they let this play for is so good. Like it
Yeah, it's like 2 minutes straight.
it is long, and I'm just like, they played this shit, man. Like, they played the entire song basically because it's so good. But notably, it's not until Jerry Heller, until you get to the insults of Jerry Heller, that he turns it off. You know, everyone else is like sitting there, kind of like taking it. You see MC Ren kind of like, oh man, like they fucking got us. You know, like Yeller's doing this thing. He's like, he's got that like. It's like, oh, I don't know. Like, he's got the uncomfortable face.
Yeah, he's like,
but yeah, like Heller's fired up. You know, he's like, I'm going to go speak to the Jewish community. He can't talk like this. Like, this is ignorant shit. And like, I love Easy being like, man, like, look, if we really want to shut him up, like, we can just go to his office and shut him up. Yellow's just like, I don't know about all that.
Yeah,
I don't know about all that. And Jerry Heller leaves, and then we kind of like cut over to this footage of Rodney King, right? And this is, oh man, this is it genuinely makes me sad. Like, I mean, you know, like it's so funny because like this movie started, and obviously the movie has it's commenting on civil rights issues, right? And right at the beginning, Steph was talking about how her mum was talking about the George Floyd riots, and she was like, as a kid, not as a kid, but a lot when she was a lot younger, she saw how America blew up about the Rodney King riots, and then it happened again almost 30 years later. It's just like,
right.
It's insane how cyclical it is, and it's insane how, you know, no one essentially learns from the mistakes that were made, and it's genuinely
yeah.
sad.
Well, if anything, it gets worse,
Right?
Because it's like, at least, I mean, like, not that it makes it okay, but like Rodney King survived at least, you know, and it's like, if anything, it's gotten worse.
Look, I don't want to. I mean, this. I don't know if this is the place or time to comment on this kind of stuff. You know, there's a lot smarter people who have commented about this kind of stuff. In other mediums and in other formats. But to me, I can only tell you guys how this makes me feel, and it's incredibly sad. I mean, like, obviously, like the way that this really tears apart a nation, and not only that, but like internationally as well. We felt here in Australia the death of George Floyd. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, there were rallies outside in Sydney as well, and it's insane how far-reaching it was. Yeah, I can't speak to how it was after the Rodney King trial, because this was 2 years before I was born, but definitely the George Floyd riots, because they happened during COVID.
Yeah, right before, beginning.
Sydney, Canberra, and Melbourne, lots of protests. Lots of protests about police advocacy, because well, for you guys, it's African Americans being marginalized. For us, it's Aboriginals. Right. And the Aboriginal Rights Matter movement it was always around, but kind of got reinvigorated after the death of George Floyd. So that was a big.
Well, let me tell you about African American representation in entertainment and media.
Can't wait.
We'll talk.
Guy from the South about to take me to school.
I'll take up the rest of our time with this. No, I definitely get it, and I think that the movie would be remiss to at least, like, I could see somebody making an argument and be, you know, maybe that it's not that it touches on it too much. Like, but you know, it's definitely heavy. It's definitely thick, and it's in a lot of it. I think they could have mentioned it maybe one less time, and it still would have had the same impact. You know, but there's like multiple times that they're following it, kind of like the kind of like when you see a TV show set in the 90s and everybody's watching the OJ trial kind of thing. You know, it's like that's kind of the way that it was. Everybody was watching it at that time.
Not to make light of it, but one of my favorite quotes from The Office comes from Will Ferrell, and he's just like, when he's describing some time he was in hospital, and he's like, oh, sorry, he got an allergy from peanuts, and he's just like, from peanut butter, sorry, and he's just like, I was in hospital. I had to read about the OJ trial in the newspaper like an idiot. Oh god. But anyway, man, like a few things happen here. So Suge Knight sends a guy to Jerry Heller's house to, I guess, intimidate him.
Jesus.
Fucking, did you see the size of this guy, dude?
God, fucking Bane over here, man.
Literally Bane. Dr. Dre tells Eazy-E that he wants out, right? Like Jerry Heller's essentially becoming a poison and he just wants out. He's going to go work with Suge Knight. Dude.
Again, I would like to know a little bit more specifics of like, you know, like I don't love the way the Bohemian Rhapsody treats Paul Printer, but it's in black and white, like it's spelled out very well. And this is just kind of like, he's just having him sign stuff he's not reading, and he's not wanting them to have lawyers present. And it's just stuff that now is like law common sense. Like you don't sign stuff without a lawyer reading. Like you just don't do that anymore. Mm-hmm. And at the time, you know, you flash a $75,000 check in front of a kid from Compton, you know, he's used to getting shot at and put on the sidewalk for no reason. Like, of course, you know, you're probably right to assume that he would jump at that. But it says a lot to his character that he doesn't. But at the same time, yeah, it's definitely one of those things that it's like that would never fly today.
Yeah, absolutely. I would also have liked to know a bit more information about this. And obviously I can go and do my own research, but I've been fucking lazy about it. But I'll tell you what, man, this guy, this shot of Suge Knight driving this lowrider, like, is sick. Like, this guy's got his, like, whole aesthetic style, like, down pat. He knows what he's doing, man. Like the cigar, like you know what he is? He's trying to make himself look like Biggie. Like I feel like,
yeah, I can kind of see it.
You know,
he looks like Black Me. It's weird.
What?
Like he looks like Black Me.
Oh,
like he has like the same. He has like the same length of beard. He has like the same big brown eyes. Like
I thought you said
same
Black
shaped
Meat,
head.
and I'm just like, what? Sorry. I was like, that's pretty aggressive, man. Like I know we're joking about like race and shit up in here, but
yeah, fucking dark meat. And it's like, oh Jesus Christ, man.
Fucking.
That makes me think of one of my favorite lines from Chappelle's show, and it's Eddie Murphy's brother, Charlie Murphy, and it's him talking about Rick James always calling them the Darkness Brothers, and he was like, see, he called me and Eddie the Darkness Brothers all the time because this was like pre-Wesley Snipes, you know, we were the darkest brothers around, and I think that is one of the funniest things I've ever heard is somebody saying pre-Wesley Snipes in terms of something like, oh my God, that is fucking hilarious. Like, holy shit, man.
I do. That's something that I've always wanted to do is just go back and watch the Chappelle show because I think I was too young when it was in his heyday, but my older cousin at the time loved it. Like I just, you know, used to catch, I'm Rick James, bitch. Like the,
oh, right.
Like the, you know, it's just kind of like in the back of my mind, even though I haven't seen it, but yeah. But anyway, we have a special guest for this podcast. Introducing the Grand Wizard. How you doing,
David Duke?
Well, I think you know, these fine young gentlemen.
See, the frontal lobe of an African American is frighteningly different. You know, it's like would have some kind of insane.
You see, in a normal human being, you have these two indents, but with these African Americans, you have three.
Mr. Duke, where did you get that? No further questions. It just hangs up. He's turned into Chief Wiggum somehow.
I got this from a documentary called Django Unchained. And,
yeah, I got these at a thrift store.
Jesus Christ. I can't believe we're adding David Duke to our repertoire of characters.
Yeah, right. Who knows? That's just what I picture him sounding like 100%.
Well, I just picture because in Black Klansman he's played by
it's Topher
Grace. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's how a Topher would sound, I guess, in my mind.
True. Who the fuck names that child?
I do
Topher?
love. Yeah, it's a weird name. I love that the movie really solidifies Suge Knight with the the use of animals, the way that animals are used. It's like that 100%, like, yes, that 100% puts you in this, like, yeah, he pistol whips a dude for parking his car wrong. But when he has the dogs fighting and like has them like ready just to go at every single point, you definitely start to like, that is one of those things that it's the opposite of save the cat. You know, it's like drown the puppy. You know, it's this opposite of that, where it's like, if you have them using or abusing animals in this like nefarious kind of way, the audience, whether they know who Suge Knight is or not, it's just a subconscious thing. Like, now you know subconsciously he's the villain. The movie is telling you that he's the villain.
I'm glad you caught that, because, you know, obviously you're a dog guy. So is Steph. And like, we were watching this, and you know, like Dre walks in and like he sees like the two dogs going at it, and you know, she just pretty much immediately started crying, and she's just like, "This is terrible, man."
Yeah.
Like, because like that's exactly what it is. It's telling you that Suge Knight is someone like, it's this intimidation factor, but also like this guy who just doesn't care about life. Like, you know, like this guy who's just kind of like wantonly like not giving a shit about anyone but himself. I
think if you're caught like pulling a Michael Vick, you should have to fight both dogs in like a gladiator style fight.
Yeah.
And you're not given any weapons or anything. Just maybe they'll wrap your arms in electrical tape, just for a little boost or something. Actually. But I got to be honest though, Michael Vick versus he's killing those dogs. Like Michael Vick's fucking killing both those dogs.
So Vic,
like prime Michael Vick.
I don't know much about Vic, except that he was kind of like accused of killing dogs, right? So was he guilty? Dog
fighting and stuff. Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Allegedly. Let's just put that in there.
Allegedly guilty?
Yeah. He's allegedly guilty.
Quarterback, huh?
But, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, I feel like it would be a crazy fight. Him fighting like two Dobermans in there or something. Hopefully they'd rip his throat out. But
federal prosecution and conviction. Damn.
Yeah, he was kind of a POS, but
yeah, I mean, look, he was black, so it's fine. Anyway, so
yeah, have you looked in a mirror, Zohab?
Yeah.
Anyway, he's like,
we get this quick scene between Snoop and Suge Knight, right? This little small altercation. This isn't really doing anything outside of just showing us that Knight is this sort of like, he's quick to anger, you know, like he's just, yeah, again, like it's that kind of stature, you know, like who the fuck are you? You know? Right.
Yeah. It's the chest pumping kind of stuff.
Exactly. Easy gets a call from Knight being asked, hey, look, come through and, you know, like come speak to Dre about these contracts, blah, blah. And obviously this is an ambush. Easy cops it, right? Like this is fucking, man, like seeing this guy, this like like the stature of Suge as compared to Easy, who was this tiny, like fucking thin person. It's just like, holy shit, man.
Yeah. It's especially when you have two more Suge Knights, one on either side of you, is like triply intimidating, right. You know?
Exactly. And then we get this scene outside Jerry Heller's house. By the way, did you notice that Easy had essentially broken into Jerry Heller's backyard? Because this is by his pool.
Yeah, I was wondering at first, like, wait, what the fuck? And I was like, oh, he's in Jerry's house. I was like, that's funny.
Kind of like, it's justified that this scene opens with Jerry holding a gun to fucking Easy's head.
After the other night, you couldn't blame him. Yeah.
Well, he's all fucked up, right? And he's just like, look, I'm going to kill that motherfucker Suge Knight, right? Look what he did to me. These are the streets. Like, I can't take this disrespect. And look, man, being someone who's seen The Wire so many fucking times, it's about honor, you know? It's about like reputation and your name, you know? Like if you take a beating from someone and, you know, people will be talking about that beating and the fact that you're vulnerable. Like it's that whole thing about like, you know, there's blood in the water and sharks will come, right? Like you are now vulnerable just because you're famous, just because you're part of this group. and you have publicity surrounding you doesn't mean that you can't be gotten to. And obviously, Easy wants to retaliate, but this is one of the moments where I really, really like Jerry Heller. I'm not gonna lie, man. Like, he's just like, look, this is not how you do these things. Like, if you kill this guy, his problems will be over and yours will just be beginning. You will go to jail for life.
Sure.
You fight this guy with lawyers and money, and you don't fight him with bullets. And this is one of the moments that I really I'm sorry, I actually really like Jerry Heller here. Like, this is fantastic.
Sure, yeah. It's the moment in Jaws where the mayor actually has, and he's like, I don't see that. I don't want to see a half-gutted autopsy on a fishnet. Little Kitchener boy comes spilling out all over the top.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, right. That's that. Yeah, I can agree. Even though you're fucking,
it is one of those things of like, even a broken clock is right twice a day. Like, it's one of those things of just like, okay, look.
For him to still be a player in this, he has to say something that makes sense 100%. At some point.
And this might be one of my favorite scenes in this entire movie. This is the most well acted scene in this movie, I think, is between Jerry Heller and Eazy-E. Because, man, Giamatti and Jason Mitchell, they're fucking killing it right here, to be honest. Fucking killing it, man. Mm-hmm. Giamatti, by the way, I heard he might be up for an Oscar this year. There's a movie coming out called The Holdovers, which I haven't seen, but apparently it's fantastic.
I never even heard of it.
It's directed by the guy who did Dark Waters. That fucking. We interviewed the lawyer Robert Bellot.
Oh, yeah. Okay, gotcha. I was like, wait, I know that.
Yeah. So anyway, Snoop has this moment with Dre. We get this interview with Cube. Eat a dick, Brian. Get out of my house.
Yeah, that's great.
But like, look, like what this scene is doing is it's showing that. By the way, he looks great with the haircut. Like, he's got rid of the Jerry curls and he's just like,
Yeah.
I like that Cube at this time is really wanting to advocate for Rodney King, right? And like trying to get in on this conversation, but no one's having it. Like, no serious journalist is taking him seriously. Like, they're just like, look, like, what's the fallout between you and Jerry Heller and, like with NWA? And he's like, look, man, I don't want to talk about NWA. I want to talk about the real stuff, but no one's having it. And, they bring his association with the Nation of Islam in and all this stuff. And it's just like, dude, like, that's not what you're here for.
Right, yeah. It's that interview with Tarantino all over again where he's like, I'm shutting your butt down. And he's like, I didn't invite you here to talk about that. Right,
exactly. We get that altercation between Suge Knight and this guy who parked in his car park. I don't know if it happened, but wouldn't surprise me, to be quite honest.
Right, like I obviously none of this is justified, but there is a part of me that's like, dude, you work for Suge Knight. Why in God's name would there ever be a car besides his in that fucking spot? Like this dude would choke the sun for it daring to rise. Like, why the fuck would you park in his spot? Like, holy shit, man. Like, good God.
It's ill-advised.
Look, the president of my company is not going to come out and put me in a headlock if I park in his spot every morning.
Can you imagine?
But I'm definitely. Yeah. Oh, fucking! You can fucking try, Pat. I'll break your hip.
Well, dude, my boss is technically the Prime Minister of Australia. So can you imagine if they?
Oh, that makes me think of The Simpsons, where they're like, "We have to get the Prime Minister," and they're like, "Tony," and it's this guy naked in a tube out in a lake or something.
Simpsons is spot on, to be honest. So, all right, and then we get to probably the most gorgeous. It sucks because it's depicting something so tragic, but the most gorgeous scene in this entire movie is the recreation of the LA riots. Wow, this looks fantastic. I mean,
yeah, well, and they nail a lot of stuff. Like there's actually been a lot of stories about the Korean store owners.
Oh, I read about this briefly. Yeah. Speak on it.
There's a little YouTube channel that I found who does like these small documentaries called Popo Medic, and he does one about like the South Korean, because in Korea you were forced to, it was compulsory, you had to serve in the army. So all of these immigrants had army training, and when their stores got descended upon, they basically took to like shortwave radios and were passing out guns to other Koreans and held off their own stores because the cops just gave up. Like at some point, the cops were just like, "Hey, nobody's coming right now," and they ended up basically kind of holding down their own. These like Korean shop owners. It's a crazy story.
It is crazy. I remember. So, Do the Right Thing covered some of this. Because obviously, like Do the Right Thing, which is Spike Lee's first movie, covers the tensions between white people, black people, and I remember there being Koreans in there too. And like that movie precedes the riots by 2 years, which is kind of crazy.
Which one did you say?
Do the Right Thing, Spike Lee's movie.
Oh, yeah. Okay, gotcha.
But yeah, man, like I was doing some reading on the Rodney King riots last night. It is the fact that it lasted for 6 days. Right. It was caused by obviously racial tension in LA and the beating of Rodney King and the acquittal, but also the killing of Latasha Harlins, which is kind of like this story that kind of like got swept under the rug because of Rodney King and how popular that case was. This was this girl who was 15 years old, and she was shot by a 49-year-old Korean American convenience store owner. He was tried and convicted of voluntary manslaughter over the killing of Harlins. The judge sentenced him to 10 years in state prison, but the sentence was suspended, and the defendant was instead placed on 5 years probation with 400 hours of community service and a payment of $500 restitution. The sentencing was widely regarded as an extremely light sentence, and a failed appeal reportedly contributed to the 1992 Los Angeles riots, especially the targeting of Koreatown, Los Angeles, California. The killing of Harlins came 13 days after the videotape beating of Rodney King. Damn.
Damn, that is crazy.
Dude, $1 billion in property damage, 12,000 people arrested, 2,000 people are injured, 63 people died during the riots. Fuck.
Yeah. Dude, there's a story, Reginald Denny, who was like the truck driver who got pulled out of his truck, and like basically somebody came up and hit him in the head with like not a brick, but like a cinder block. Like somebody came and crushed his skull with a cinder block, and he somehow managed to live. But after somebody came up and robbed him, like took the cash out of his pockets, you could see people shooting at like the little silver gas tank underneath the cab of like they were trying to shoot his truck to like blow it up. And he's just like laying there next to it, and eventually they came and like got him out of there. But the ironic thing was, I think he was transporting concrete for low income housing. And it was like he was literally bringing like the foundations of those neighborhoods like to them, and got fucking pulled out of his truck. And Bill Hicks, the comedian, has a great joke. He's like, "Hey, I got an idea. Step on the fucking gas, man." And he's like, "Don't slow down." And it's like, step on the fucking gas. But that's one of the more like crazy stories I remember hearing out of it as a kid, was the truck driver who got his head. I think he had to have like reconstructive surgery and stuff.
I was wondering whether they announced martial law, but it doesn't seem like they did. It says a dusk to dawn curfew, and deployment by the California National Guard, U.S. troops, and federal law enforcement personnel eventually controlled the situation. A total of 63 people died during the riots, including 9 shot by police and 1 by the National Guard. Of those killed during the riots, 2 were Asian, 28 were black, 19 were Latino, and 15 were white. No law enforcement officials died during the riots. Damn. The riots caused the emergency broadcast system to be activated in 1992. Wild.
Oh, Jesus.
Wild, man.
You know what? Let's talk about. I think we need to move to something more uplifting. I watched Schindler's List the other day, and
did you actually?
No, never. I don't think I. Oh, man, I don't know if that's something I really feel have the gumption to watch.
Yeah, look, man, I watched it just for completion, because I just heard that it was just.
I thought you meant. I have to watch it to get to completion. I was like, so dude, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Like that in addition to the belt around my neck. Yeah. No.
Yeah, I gotta watch like Salo, like 1,000 days of like the horrible movie.
A Serbian film. I watched that in high school. Just because I'd heard so many incredible things about it, and it is. Look, there's no denying it is absolutely incredible. Like he left the set of Jurassic Park to go film that movie, and it's so wild, but it's. I will never watch it again. I will never watch it again because it's so harrowing. Ray Fiennes is nightmare fuel in that movie. Like nightmare fuel. Like you thought he was terrifying as Dollard in Red Dragon, but fuck.
Yeah, he's Voldemort too, right?
I wouldn't say it's scary though. Like in Harry Potter, like maybe I'm just aged out of it.
Nah,
but, you know, creepy. Yeah. Anyway, this riot scene. Obviously, one of my favorite images is the Bloods and Crips kind of like holding their bandanas, tying up the bandana, walking up to the police officer. Whether that happened or not, I don't know, but it makes for some very powerful imagery. Visually, looks incredible. What do you think about that in particular?
I like it for the most part. I think that it's subtle. It's not really. It doesn't beat it over the head. You know, it's not an absolute like. I'm sorry, you're talking about the two bandanas being tied together, right? Yeah, I think it's somewhat subtle, but at the same time, it's like, did that actually happen? Because I'm sure if it did, those people died immediately, like they were gunned down by other what the fuck, and just start unloading on them. You know, it'd be like I seriously doubt that, but at the same time, like I don't know, it wouldn't surprise me if that happened. You know, but I think that's I'm feeling Hollywood fucking bullshit on this one, but maybe I'm wrong.
But look, I don't mind it because it looks great. Like, you know, it's just one of those. Like, if you're highlighting the point, it's fine. If you like, whatever. But anyway, so a few things happen. So Eazy-E has fallen on hard financial times. He's had to downgrade his house. He's kind of cutting up weed, selling weed again. You know, Jerry Heller obviously doesn't like this. We're kind of like checking in on the main sort of three, right? So Dre meets this girl, like he's kind of like going off to like do his own thing. The Chronic is the name of his album. And Cube has this moment, you know what, actually kind of touching. Like he sits down and watches the Straight Outta Compton video, which is the actual video. Like he's just watching his dad. Yeah. It's fantastic. I love that kind of stuff. And then we get this scene between. This is the sort of like breakup scene between Dre and Suge Knight, right? So Dre walks into the recording studio, sees Tupac going at it. I love that this is the birth of California Love, right? This is fantastic.
Yes.
I mean, how like I feel like we're witnessing something iconic. Whether this happened or not, I don't care because this is beautiful. You know, the California Love scene. And then he just hears like three gunshots, bang, bang, bang. Walks in and sees this like guy being absolutely this giant hulk of a man being terrified by this pit bull, right? Just everyone's partying and, you know, essentially Suge's kind of like lost control of Death Row Records, or he is in control and he just doesn't give a fuck about, you know, discipline. You know, it's just so undisciplined. And it goes against everything that his mother taught him, right? Dre's mother. Like, it's so undisciplined. Like, there's no work being done. Like, you know, Puck's in the room next door, working, grinding, hustling. And what the fuck are you doing?
Right. All you're doing is the business side of it. And it's like, you're the one bringing all the heat and you're the one that nobody needs. Like, you need the talent, you need the writers and the producers. They're on the other side of this door. And it's like, we need a business guy. Like, we need a fucking bag on our hip right now. It's like, you know, it's like you always need somebody like that. But at some point, you know, Dre has probably been in this long enough. It's not going to be that hard for him to figure it out. He's a smart guy.
Yeah, definitely. And then he kind of like takes off from that, and this is this causes his drunk driving arrest, which actually happened. So Dre was sentenced in Los Angeles Municipal Court to 5 months in jail after pleading no contest to drunk driving charges. 28-year-old, he was 28. This is an article from 1994. Entered jail on Jan 10th under a work furlough arrangement. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if like fucking this many police were involved, but yeah. Wild.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. Like, we have a black man in a white man's car, and they just immediately like start flagging.
Yeah, it's either Dr. Dre or Jordan Belfort because this is the same car from Wall Street, essentially.
I was wondering, these cops are like, hey, this guy's driving around in my pension fund. I've got to pull him over and just see what it's about. Exactly.
But while this is happening, Easy and Cube essentially make amends, right? Like it makes me a little sad to think about, like, these guys were actually on the brink of making amends with each other. Like Easy was making phone calls, and he was just like, "Look, man, I apologize for the way I acted. Let's get the band back together. Let's see what we can do." And then he kind of gets sick, and then he passes away, and it sucks because, imagine the potential. Think about what they gave us in such a short span of time. How long did we say? Like 8 years was Easy's career.
Yeah, 8 or 9 years.
And it was just like, man, like imagine what could have happened. Had he not gotten sick.
Right, yeah. It's like at least, someone like Mercury, it's like, yeah, decades. A lot of these guys had like decades, but it's the artists who only get like Jeff Buckley putting out one album, and like these really like tragic kind of like dude put out one album or they're one hit wonders, or, they're trying to turn their life around or whatever. And I think, either Nirvana or Alice in Chains was like that. Like they were in good spirits and they were getting ready to record. I can't remember which one of those bands it was, but then it just all fell apart like right after that happened. And it sucks, man. It's even worse when it's like, yeah, they kind of get around the bend and put their egos aside and let the music do the talking, and they still, just can't. Time is a funny way of taking it back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, definitely. But we are rocketing towards the finale here, right? So
towards completion.
Yeah, exactly what happens when I watch Schindler's List.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm not even kidding. There is a scene where Fiennes plays a character named Aman Goth, and he wakes up, looks out of his balcony, picks up a sniper, and just starts picking off Jewish people as they're working. It's terrifying. And that's what
am I supposed to do with that information?
I'm just saying, like, when I reach completion, like I'm just giving you some information here. But no, look, anyway, so Easy finds out that none of his bills are being paid, right? Everything's defaulting. And then he's just like, man, that Jerry Heller motherfucker. And again, I wish we had a little bit more information, but I think because the information is vague in the first place, that's why we don't really know. That's why they don't really give us much. Because this scene is the one, like, this is where Easy goes up to Jerry and is like, look, you're fired, dude. You're fucking up. You're fired. This is your fault. But, like, this is also another very well acted scene. And you can tell, like, whatever makeup work they do here to Eric's face is fantastic, because you can tell that he's not well. Like, he is not looking good. He's coughing.
He's definitely worse for
wear.
He's
got the bloodshot eyes, all that stuff. And yeah, essentially he leaves Jerry in the dust, right? Jerry's like, look, this is a big company. I'll not let you do this. And that's the last time we see Jerry. And then immediately after that, Eric calls Dre. They make amends. Like, let's get the band back together, as I was saying. And yeah. And then he collapses. As he's creating music. And he's rushed to hospital, dude. And this is incredibly sad. This doctor who's having to explain this to him, like, a normal T cell count is between 500 and 1500, and your count is 7 or 14. Sorry.
Good God, man.
His wife was pregnant at the time. That is a real detail. I looked it up. The disease was not transmitted to her, thankfully. It wasn't transmitted to the baby.
Oh, good. I was wondering
they were
about
both
that.
fine. But yeah, man, like the first reaction from Easy is I'm not a faggot, and it really speaks to this uneducation at this time, right? Like they no one really knew like what this was about, what this disease was about, and how it was shared. That it could be transmitted through heterosexual sexual intercourse or the sharing of needles in drug use,
blood transfusions. Yeah, who was? It wasn't until that little boy died of the blood transfusion that's when people kind of started realizing, wait, you're not a drug user or black or gay. Like I can get this too, and it's like, yeah, you fucking idiot,
crazy man. But yeah, and then this is where we're kind of wrapping up here. Like, DJ Yeller and MC Ren come to visit, and it's so funny because Yellow's got this tape from Bone Thugs and Harmony, right? And he's kind of like telling him about it. And I don't know if this was intentional, but Yellow puts the tape on the table. He doesn't hand it to Easy. And Steph kind of caught that. Steph was like, did you notice how she didn't hand it to him? And I'm like, ooh, I wonder if that was on purpose because there was this fear of contagiousness, like this, like if I touch him, am I going to get it too? And whether that's intentional or not, that's a good fucking pickup because that you can definitely, that would have been a thing, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, and I think it was really Princess Diana who was part of breaking that down.
She said the same thing. Them shaking hands. Yeah. She said the exact same thing.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was one of the, at least, what I've heard. I was a child at the time, but I think that was one of the first things that really kind of showed. It's like, no, you can shake hands with them. It's not a death sentence.
Definitely. Stephanie's much smarter than me. She'll never admit it, but she's so much smarter than me. But yeah, man. And then like Cube, like Dre goes in and talks to Easy, like he's kind of intubated, he's obviously in a coma at this point, but Cube he doesn't go in, and I don't know if that was real. I don't know if I don't know if Ice Cube actually spoke like if this was the thing, like he didn't want to see Easy sort of like laid up like that, and he wanted to hear his voice. But that's incredibly sad anyway, man. Like this is tough. This is tough to see. But yeah, and then he passes, and that's it. That's the end of Eazy-E.
Yeah, well, and getting there so late in the process that it wouldn't really matter if you were in there or not. He would never know the difference. It's like he's in a fucking coma. Respirators breathing for him and stuff. It's like, yeah, it's over, man.
So he was 30 years old. He was buried on April 7th, 1995 in Rose Hills Memorial Park in California. Over 3,000 people attended his funeral, including Ice Cube and DJ Yella. He was buried in a gold casket and was dressed in a flannel shirt, jeans, and his Compton hat. And then his final album was released posthumously 10 months after his death. Yeah, sad, man. Just during the week of March 20, having already made amends with Ice Cube, he drafted a final message to his fans. And then March 26th is when he died. Wild. So yeah, and then we kind of like get this final sort of like coda with Dre confronting Suge Knight and Dre forcibly leaving Death Row Records and Suge Knight actually owning his work. I don't know if this is like this seems like too big of a thing to make up.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe at the time he walked away and like looking back on it, countersued and started litigation later on down the road because like it seems too big to make up, and it's too much money to leave on the table. It's too much work. I get it. Like his best is yet to come, but it's still a lot of fucking music, man. You're talking about one of the most like iconic melodies in all of rap. That ba da 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 da. It's like, dude, that's. I feel like there's no way, especially with Suge Knight's stupid ass. I'm sure he fumbled that somehow, you know?
Mm-hmm, definitely. Okay, so this is an article from October 2016. The continuing saga of Suge Knight's murder trial has taken another turn, with the former rap impresario, Jesus Christ, issuing a lawsuit demanding around $300 million from Dr. Dre and alleging that his former protege has tried to have him killed to avoid paying money owed. The suit, waved away by Dre's attorney, is a response to a wrongful death lawsuit filed against Knight, Dre, Ice Cube, and Universal Music. That case was brought by Lillian Carter, the widow of Terry Carter, who was run over and killed by Knight's truck during filming of Straight Outta Compton. Yeah, it's crazy that he tried to sue Dr. Dre. Oh, fucking all right, okay, dude, you fucking literally ran someone over with your truck.
Yeah, I wouldn't be worried about that right now.
So Dre essentially leaves Montesada's new record company called Aftermath, and then his album called Dr. Dre Presents the Aftermath, which was released in '96. And then it cuts to black, and I'm not even kidding, dude. This is again my favorite end credit scene, probably of all time. I love this so much. Because, yeah, not only do we get a look in on, like, Eazy-E and, like, what he meant to, like, all these people, but, like the new generation, the 50 Cents, the Eminems of the world, you know, like, looking up to this group, to NWA. Look, like, Dr. Dre selling beats to Apple and Ice Cube becoming this actor and branching out and becoming not just a rapper anymore, but an entrepreneur in other different areas. But not only like that's all over, like Straight Outta Compton, the song, like, you know, the way the beats are hitting as like these people are giving their testimony on these people is fantastic. I love it so much, man. I love these end credits. I think this is a fantastic movie. This is a fantastic way to end this movie. I had a great time talking about this, man. I absolutely adore this movie.
Yeah, man, I liked it a lot. I think they did a really good job with definitely comparing it and contrasting it to a lot of like modern day events. It being a biopic, but a biopic about several. Like, I mean, have there really been movies that has there really been a movie that's done that? That's been a biopic about like Dre, Ice Cube, Eazy-E, and it's like, I understand they were in a group together, but like the fact that it not only covers the group, but then afterwards and kind of into like their story, like as a whole, culminating with like Eazy-E's death. I think that they do a really, really great job with like an ensemble cast and making all of that work together. And I really enjoyed it. I would definitely like to see something like this again. You know, but just different eras where it's like Soundgarden and Nirvana and Pearl Jam, and it's like all these different like eras of bands coming up together and stuff like that. I would love to see it. I know a lot of people that would. Yeah, it was a good movie. I liked it a lot.
I'm glad you liked it, man, because I had a feeling that you hadn't seen this because it wasn't your genre and it wasn't your thing. But I'm glad you liked it, dude. We. I want to see if we have any. No, we don't have any comments about Straight Outta Compton. You guys are just like, you know what, the after party. Get on it. I get that you guys hate black people, but fuck, you know, you guys all want to talk about the fall of the House of Usher, but you don't want to talk about Straight Outta Compton. God damn it.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. Like, I'm sure. I don't know, because I've never really listened to like this. Definitely makes me want to go back and listen to NWA records and stuff. But this movie is, I think, one of the only negative sides to it is if you have not listened to the music, you're not going to watch this movie. You know, you're probably not going to see this. And I think there's probably just a good chunk of people that it's just not their cup of tea, you know, not their, just as there was probably a lot of people who was like, yeah, I don't care. I don't give a fuck about Queen. Like, I'm not going to go see that movie. You know, it's just tomato.
I think,
you know?
yeah, I think you're definitely on the money there. And I think also its budget was $28 to $50 million and it made $201 million. So it did, it made its profit back and then some, but it wasn't this like worldwide smash hit, and it came out during this era or this year of like huge iconic movies, dude. Like I'm not just talking about the big blockbusters like The Force Awakens and Jurassic World, but you had Mad Max Fury Road, which is like genre defining, and then you had Ex Machina, which is like a masterpiece, and you have movies like that just really kind of like overshadowed this which is a sort of straightforward biopic. And if you're listening to this podcast and you're 2 hours and 40 minutes in, I urge you to seek this out. If you haven't seen it, I urge you to recommend it, because I think this is a very important story, and it's incredibly entertaining from start to finish. I was not bored at all. I thought the 2 hour and 20 runtime just flies by. And the music's fantastic. It's all cut together very well. The cinematography is outstanding. Matthew Libatique did a fantastic job shooting this movie. The score is outstanding. I think F. Gary Gray did a fantastic job with this movie. This is my favorite F. Gary Gray movie, with Friday as a close second, because I think Friday is awesome. But yeah, man. You want to close this out? You want to close this bitch out?
Yeah, sure. Guys, we hope you enjoyed the episode. This is your first time checking us out. Make sure to rate and review the show. Stop by our Patreon. It's patreon.com/midnight double feature. Become a member of the Green Room. It's $5 a month. You get like something like 80, 90 episodes stacked up in there now. It's a lot of fun. Check out our socials in the show notes. We have the after party on Facebook, which everybody can come and be a part of, and check out our memes and trailers and stuff like that. We have a lot of fun in there. I'm trying to think what else we got. We got socials. We got Patreon. Check that. I think we're pretty much good to go.
Bad Crystal.
Guys, we hope. Bad Crystal, thank you. I knew I was forgetting something. Our Breaking Bad podcast, Bad Crystal. It's a podcast where Zoheb and I go through all of Breaking Bad, which I have not seen. We cover it episode by episode. I think we're up to 3 seasons now. I think we got 2 seasons left.
Yep.
So we'll be recording those again soon, hopefully, and jumping back into the saddle and knocking those out, because they're short and quick and a lot of fun, much like your mom. So we appreciate that we appreciate you guys spending some time with us, listening to a couple of, for lack of better term, white boys talking about rap for the next 2 hours.
I might as well be white.
Yeah. And we hope you guys enjoyed it and had as much fun as we did, and we will catch you on the next one.
Bye.